Are you currently happy with your life? Or do you feel like something's missing? Do you ever stop and think, is this all there is? Life's busy, right? We all get caught up chasing things we think will make us happy. A new phone, more likes on social media, or having more money. But what if happiness isn't about what we chase or buy? What if it's about how we see the world and deal with what life throws at us? Here's a secret from the past that might just be what we need today: Stoicism. It's not about being emotionless, it's about finding real joy in life, no matter what's going on. Stoics believe in making the best out of any situation, being grateful for what we have, and seeing challenges as chances to grow. They teach us to focus on what we can control and not waste energy on what we can't. Imagine facing a bad day with a calm mind, or not getting upset over things out of your control. Sounds good, right? Let's dive into these ancient ideas together. We'll learn how to be happier with less, how to be calm in the chaos, and how to find joy in the little things. It's time to change how we see happiness and start living a life full of joy. You've clicked on the right video. Let's begin. Have you ever felt like everyone was calling you a loser? It seems like whatever you do, it's never enough for the people around you, or maybe even for yourself. I'm going to talk about something that affects all of us at some point: the fear of being seen as a failure, and why, just maybe, being called a loser isn't such a bad thing. We live in a world where getting more money, fame, or likes is always pushed on us. It's very easy to feel like you're falling behind. Let me tell you a secret. Some of the smartest people who ever lived had a very different idea of what it means to be successful. A long time ago, there was a group of people called the Stoics who thought that real success isn't about what you have, but about who you are. If you've ever been down because you didn't meet someone else's expectations, or if you're just sick of chasing goals that don't make you happy, stay here. We'll now look at how Stoic wisdom can help us rethink success and find contentment and peace that don't depend on what other people think. What pictures do we have in mind when we think of success? Perhaps the big houses, fancy cars, or the draw of fame are what many of us think of when we think of having made it in life. But let's take a moment to think about things from a different angle. Stoicism is a school of thought that started in ancient Greece and grew in popularity in Rome. It gives us a completely new way to think about success and worth. Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca were all great thinkers who didn't judge success by how much money or power someone had. Instead, they say that the key to real success is to develop virtues like self-control, wisdom, bravery, and fairness. Epictetus, for example, taught that we can only control our responses to external events. He thought that the only way to find inner peace and happiness is to change how we think about the things that happen to us. This way of thinking says that the richest person is not the one who has the most, but the one who doesn't need anything. Adding Marcus Aurelius to the mix would be great. Marcus was ruler of Rome and had all the money and power a person could want, but he thought that virtue and simplicity were more important than anything else. He talks a lot about self-mastery and honesty in his meditations. He teaches that being in harmony with yourself and nature is the best way to be successful. Another well-known Stoic, Seneca, agreed with these ideas and stressed that happiness that comes from virtue is not affected by luck. He said that real success doesn't come from having lots of stuff or awards, but from having a calm mind and living a good life. But Stoicism isn't the only way of looking at worth and success from the inside out. Western thinkers like Socrates and Aristotle also had their own ideas. Aristotle thought that eudaimonia, or thriving, was the best thing that could happen to people if they lived a good life that followed reason. Socrates reportedly said, A life that is not examined is not worth living. This means that knowing yourself and growing as a person are important for real success. Carl Jung and other modern psychologists have stressed the value of self-realization and individuation as ways to find happiness. Jung thought that the most important thing in life is to become who we really are. This idea fits with the Stoic ideas of being true to yourself and being free inside. When we look at things from all of these points of view, it's clear that the usual signs of success are not fundamentally bad, but they are also not what makes life worth living or happy. Instead, real, long-lasting happiness comes from building a strong, good character, being at peace with oneself, and living in line with greater values. This fear that's so constant and mild that we often don't even realize it's affecting our lives is something that many of us carry with us, because they don't want to be called a loser. Why does this name make us feel so much? Our society has carefully set standards for what it means to be successful, and those standards are where the answer lies. There is an unwritten list of things that people want: a good job, a fancy lifestyle, social approval, and so on. People are quick to call us losers when we don't meet these standards. But this is where Stoicism comes in with a view that is nothing short of revolutionary. Stoicism shows us that these rules are not the most important things in life. Epictetus and other Stoics believed that what really counts is our inner state of being, not what we have or how others see us. It's about how we react to the things going on around us, how resilient we are in the face of difficulty, and how we can keep our inner peace no matter what. Think about it. The fear of being called a fool comes from wanting approval from other people. We're afraid of being seen as losers, so we work hard to be successful the way other people describe it. But Stoicism tells us to think about this story. What if real happiness isn't in being liked by other people, but in accepting yourself? What if we could find contentment within ourselves without needing approval from the outside world? This doesn't mean that wanting something is bad. It doesn't at all. Stoicism doesn't support being passive or not caring about anything. This message tells us to keep our goals in mind, but not let the outcome affect our actions. It tells us to do our best, but know that the outcome is not completely in our control. And there's something very freeing about this point of view. When we accept that other people's praise does not determine our worth, we free ourselves from the fear of failing and the label of being a loser. We let ourselves live more honestly, following what matters to us without getting moved by what other people think. Everywhere we look, from the signs on the roads to the social media feeds we read every day, society's narrow idea of success is all around us. But who decides what it means to be successful? Why should someone else's idea of what we've done affect how we feel about our own? Based on these random high-level criteria, the word loser is often used as a tool. But I have an idea. What if we question this status quo? What if we used a larger, more inclusive term to describe success? Think about how it might change how we see ourselves and other people. Let's look at the owner of a small cafe. It could be a cute little spot tucked away on a side street. It may not be making a lot of money, but it's full of love, energy, and a sense of belonging. People who come in often do so for more than just the coffee. They come for the community and love they find there. Isn't that a way to make it? Or think about someone who works in technology and is always coming up with new ideas and solutions that can help people. It's possible that their work won't get them famous or exciting, but what they do could change lives and even shape the future. Isn't that a very important thing? When you think about it, success is very relative and unique to each person. It's about finding happiness and meaning in the things we do, like taking care of our families, getting good at a skill, or making a difference in the world. The song is about the happiness we find in everyday things and the little wins we enjoy along the way. Also, let's not forget some of the best thinkers in history's wisdom. Eudaimonia is a word that Aristotle used to talk about. It is often defined as blossoming or reaching your full potential. He thought that the only way to be truly successful was to live a good life that fits with your values and lets you be the best version of yourself. This idea is supported by even current science. Meaningful, involved living, doing things that are in line with our interests and values, is much more important to our happiness and satisfaction than outward signs of success, according to research that looks at these topics over and over again. So why not change what success means to us? Don't judge our success by what society says is important. Instead, judge it by what makes us happy, fulfilled, and gives us a sense of purpose. Your real success comes from doing things that make you happy, like gardening, writing poems, teaching kids, or anything else. Let's start recognizing these unique and deeply personal ways of being successful. We should respect the people who run small cafes, come up with new technologies, make art, care for others, and everyone else by widening our views. We can make the world a better place for everyone by being more kind, understanding, and happy. Stoicism shows us how dangerous it is to depend on things outside of ourselves for happiness, things that are by their very nature out of our control. Think about putting all your hopes for happiness on something as unstable as fame or money. It's like putting up a house on sand, right? Epictetus had some very important ideas about this subject. He told us not to become too focused on getting things from outside sources because it can make us feel weak and disappointed. Why? Because we could lose these things at any time. What, though, can't be taken away? Our virtues, inner resilience, and character. Epictetus pushed people to strive for virtues like contentment and self-control. He thought that what makes us truly happy is not what we have, but how we live, what we think, and what we do. It has to do with finding peace inside, no matter what is going on around us. How often have we seen sad people who seem to have everything they could want? On the other hand, there are people who exude joy and contentment despite going through difficult times and having very little. How do they do it? Living in line with their beliefs and focusing on what they can control have taught them that happiness comes from within. Marcus Aurelius told us that things that happen in the outside world don't matter. What matters is how we think about them. We were told to work on developing virtues like patience, honesty, and kindness by focusing on our inner selves. Seneca also said that wanting money or fame was pointless. He noticed that people with little money can be truly happy, while people with a lot of money can be unhappy. Being able to live in harmony with nature and reason gave Seneca peace of mind. Let us now use this wisdom in our everyday lives. In the world we live in now, where material things and social status are often used to measure success, Stoicism is a welcome change. It tells us to think about what really matters and to question the claims of happiness that come with doing things outside of ourselves. What are we really after, and how much does it cost? Folks believe that giving up on the race for outside success could make you look like a loser. But what if being a loser frees you from the never-ending chase and gives you peace of mind instead? Stoics like Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca weren't just thinkers. They also lived their lives in the real world and found real freedom in changing what success meant to them. Because of this, if you stop constantly looking for praise, money, fame, or wealth from other people, you might be called a loser. What do you get out of it? You get the chance to make your life fit your own standards, not someone else's. You can work on developing virtues like self-discipline, courage, wisdom, and fairness, which are very important to Stoicism. One famous thinker, Epictetus, said that we should focus on what we can control. Imagine applying that to how you think about success and failure. Suddenly, other people's opinions, the size of your bank account, or your social standing don't determine your worth. Your character does. Your ability to stay calm and choose how to handle life's challenges is what defines true success. Now consider Marcus Aurelius, who stressed simplicity and inner tranquility despite his enormous power and wealth. He knew that things that people saw as accomplishments could disappear in an instant. What's left? Your sense of self, your inner resilience, and the peace you still possess. Seneca, on the other hand, told us it was pointless to chase after wind and give up our peace of mind for short-lived, unstable benefits from the outside world. He pushed for a moderate way of life that focused on making the soul rich instead of the bank account. Let's bring this back to the present day, though. Imagine if more of us put inner peace ahead of success in the outside world. What kind of culture would we live in? Maybe one where people are less worried and stressed out, and more in touch with what really counts. When you think of loserdom in this Stoic way, it doesn't mean giving up or choosing not to be ambitious. Instead, it means rethinking desire on your own terms. You have to ask yourself, am I after this because I really want it, or because I'm afraid of what people will think of me if I don't? You are not becoming a loser when you let go of society's script. You are becoming free. You've decided to live a true life, one that will be judged by the variety of your experiences, the strength of your relationships, and the tranquility of your inner world. Stoicism teaches us something very important and very simple. Your worth as a person is not based on your job title, your bank account, or the number of fans you have. Stoicism asks us to judge our worth by something much more solid and internal, our character, our virtues, and our responses to the ups and downs of life. Think about Epictetus. He was born into slavery and went through unbearable struggles, but he became one of the most famous and respected thinkers of his time. Why? Because he knew that our real worth comes from being able to be honest, kind, and stick to our values, no matter what life throws at us. Now think about Marcus Aurelius. He was one of the most powerful people in the world, but he always told himself how important it was to be humble, think about himself, and follow good morals. His meditations are not about how to get more money or power. They are about how to live a good life with meaning. And let's not forget Seneca, who, despite being rich and important, stressed how important it was to be honest, peaceful, and simple. He knew that the true riches of life were not things, but rather the wisdom and tranquility of the mind, and he accepted loserdom as the true win of inner tranquility over outer success. Let's take this home. Imagine that you're living a true-to-yourself life, full of moments and activities that are in line with your core values, even if they don't seem like signs of success to other people. You might enjoy quiet mornings, books that push you, talks that make you feel good, or helping other people in small, unnoticed ways. Stoicism says that your real worth is in your ability to live with purpose, build inner strength, and react to life with ease and resilience, not in the praise or accomplishments that society frequently seeks. If you ever feel like you're not meeting an outside measure of success, remember what the Stoics taught us. Your worth is not based on what other people think of you or how much money you have. It's about how you live, how you treat other people, and how you interact with the world. Adopting this Stoic view doesn't just mean giving up on shallow measures of value. It also means supporting something deeper and more lasting about yourself. You're realizing that your importance comes from what you think, what you do, and the choices you make. What percentage of the time do we depend on things outside our control to make us happy? The raise we want, the newest trends we feel like we have to follow, and the never-ending need for approval from other people. But Stoicism tells us a freeing truth. These things don't have to define us or decide how happy we are. We can take a different road, like Epictetus did, one in which our inner state, our tranquility, and our resilience are what really count. This isn't just an intellectual thought, it's a way to live. You are no longer at the hands of the world's whims when you base your sense of self on your values, your ability to reason, be kind, and be brave. You become the master of your ship and can handle life's storms with poise and calm. That's the real win. Also, let's be clear, picking this road doesn't mean you won't try to reach other goals or enjoy success when it comes. It means that these things don't make you happy or give you a sense of self-worth. You can enjoy them, but they don't have to be a part of your inner peace. Imagine the ease this state of mind provides. All of a sudden, the fear of failing, the fear of being judged, and the constant need to compare yourself to others are gone. You know that your worth comes from who you are, not what you do or own, so you're free to follow your interests, be yourself, and accept your quirks. This view also changes how we think about problems and failures. We don't have to see them as failures. We can see them as chances to grow, to show our virtues, and make our character stronger. This is what the Stoics meant when they said that problems should be used to feed our inner fire. So remember that these outside events don't define you, whether you're getting praise or being criticized, whether you're feeling good or bad. Maintaining inner tranquility, fostering resilience, and living in line with your core values are what will truly make you successful. Imagine going through the hardest things in life, like loss, pain, and confusion, and still finding a way to get through it all. Not just getting by, but living. This isn't just about old ideas or past that has been lost. Today, it could change your life. The philosophy of Stoicism can help you turn your weaknesses into strengths and your fears into courage. The way you live will help you handle the chaos of modern life with ease and wisdom. It's not a magic pill. It's worth thinking about. What if I told you that the key to real happiness is to embrace simplicity, practice thanks, and focus on what you can control? We live in a world that is constantly trying to push you toward endless wants and instant gratifications. This isn't just another trick to help you help yourself. Great leaders, thinkers, and even rulers have used this philosophy to live important lives all through history. Marcus Aurelius is a great example of a real leader in a world that often judges people by what they have instead of what they give. Think about being the most powerful person in the world. You could have any comfort or pleasure you wanted without any trouble. But when he was faced with one of the worst problems of his time, a pandemic that could have destroyed a big part of his empire, Marcus did something very different from what we would expect from someone of his size. His house was full of wealth and luxury, but he didn't stay there by himself. Instead, he did something brave and humble. He started to sell off his own treasures, which were not only valuable, but also signs of his divine and royal power. This wasn't just a gift. It was a lifesaver thrown to a society that was fighting to stay alive. They looked to him not only for guidance, but also for kindness and hope. This act of kindness shows what Stoicism looks like in real life. Marcus lived by the philosophy of Stoicism, which teaches the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. It wasn't just a theory for him, it was a way of life. Marcus lived by the Stoic ideal that real wealth is not found in material things, but in living a life of virtue and service to others. He did this by putting the needs of his people before his own comfort. Marcus Aurelius wasn't the only philosopher who believed in these things, though. Take Aristotle as an example. He thought that the key to real happiness was to live a good life that flows with reason. He said that the only way to be truly happy is to help others and live a life that goes beyond personal pleasure or financial gain. For the same reason, Plato stressed the importance of the philosopher king, a leader who, motivated by justice and wisdom, puts the needs of the state and its people ahead of his own wants. When we put people first, especially during times of disaster, we do more than just give them money. We give them hope, community, and a sense that they are part of a larger human family. This is what Marcus Aurelius shows us about true leadership. It's not based on power or fear, but on understanding, sacrifice, and a strong desire to help everyone. Have you ever struck a brick wall and felt like there was no way out? It happens to a lot of people, and it can make us feel stuck, angry, and hopeless. But what if I told you that this feeling, which everyone has, can be turned into something good? Here is where Marcus Aurelius's wisdom shines a light on a strong truth. When one doorbell rings, another one opens. Marcus Aurelius and other Stoic thinkers, such as Seneca and Epictetus, said that life is full of problems, but these problems are not the end of the road. Instead, they are chances to grow, change direction, and find new ways. Stoicism is based on the idea that while we may not be able to control the events that happen to us, we can always control how we react to them. This Stoic principle changes everything because it asks us to stop seeing problems as dead ends and start seeing them as opportunities to move forward. It's about accepting that there's always another way to do things. Choosing the other path doesn't always mean it will be simple or easy. Sometimes we have to dig deep, be creative, or find skills and strengths we didn't know we had. Let's look at the wisdom of other great Western philosophers and psychologists. The Stoic view of obstacles is echoed by Aristotle's statement, "The aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance." With his way of asking questions, Socrates tells us to question what we think about the problems we face. When we question what we think we know, we can find new ways to do things and answers that were hidden by our first feelings and responses. This lesson from Stoicism, that there is always another way, is about more than just getting through hard times. It's about realizing that life's problems are part of the journey we're on. They mold us, test us, and help us reach our best potential in the end. This is a lesson that we always have a choice, not in what happens to us, but in how we handle it. Planning, dreaming, and thinking about our next big move is something that's easy to get stuck in. A lot of the time, we wait until the last minute to begin that job, make that change, or follow that dream. But Marcus Aurelius brings us back to a basic truth in a very clear way. Knowing isn't enough. We have to do something. It's not enough to just have goals or make plans. You have to take real steps to make those plans come true. Putting things off is bad for getting things done. Stoicism is based on the idea that we should take action and make small steps toward our goals. The Stoics thought that we should live in line with nature, which means accepting that we are thinking, planning, and most importantly, alive beings. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just a philosopher, he was also an emperor, which meant he had to make choices and act in ways that would touch a lot of people. His words come from real life and tell us that deeds, not just thoughts, are what lead to reaching our full potential. But how do we get past the resistance that is stopping us? How do we turn our dreams into actions? As a rule, the Stoic practice of action says to start small, but start today. Another important idea that other great philosophers and psychologists have taught is this one. It said that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This shows how important it is to keep taking small steps toward our goals. The little things we do every day, not the big things we do, are what make us who we are and shape our lives. Through his conversations, Plato taught us how important it is to act in a way that is in line with our values and beliefs. He thought that knowing the truth would lead to doing the right thing. This is consistent with the Stoic value of virtue and reason in daily life. We get closer to Plato's idea of the good life by making decisions that are in harmony with our best goals. Marcus Aurelius says to take it step by step, which means to approach the path of growth and self-improvement with patience and perseverance. We need to remember that every big trip does start with a single step, whether we're trying to get healthier, write a book, or make the world a better place. It's important to take one step at a time and keep going. People often find themselves alone with their thoughts, feelings, and for many of us, worries when life is quiet and the noise of everyday life fades into the background. Marcus Aurelius had a big realization at this point. Worry doesn't come from the outside world, it comes from inside us. This realization is not just a personal revelation, it is also the foundation of Stoic philosophy, which teaches us that true peace comes from within and that, for the most part, worry is a choice. Focusing on what we can control is what Stoicism tells us to do. The Stoics think that we have control over our thoughts, feelings, and deeds, even if we can't change the things that happen around us. This way of looking at things gives us the power to let go of fears that aren't important and to find inner peace no matter what is going on around us. But how can we put this message into practice in our everyday lives? How can we get rid of stress and find real freedom? First, it's important to understand that nervousness usually comes from trying to control things that we can't, like thinking about the future or how other people see us. Marcus Aurelius tells us that these worries are out of our control, so we shouldn't think about them or let them spoil our peace. Plato said that knowing yourself is very important and that real information leads to mastering yourself. By knowing our feelings and thoughts, we can figure out what's making us anxious and deal with it in a clear and logical way. Socrates pushed for the studied life, saying that living without thinking about it is not worth living. By looking at our worries, we can question whether they are real and change how we relate to them. The Stoics say that getting rid of worry requires a change in how you look at things. We must let go of our connection to things outside of our control and instead focus on our responses. This doesn't mean rejecting or avoiding our feelings. It means watching them without getting caught up in them and deciding not to let them ruin our peace. Setting the tone for the day can be done by getting off to a good start. Marcus Aurelius had a deep understanding of this. Marcus stuck to habits that kept him grounded and got him ready for the day ahead, even though he had a lot of power and responsibilities. He got up early not because he had to, but because he wanted to start his day on the right foot. And he didn't just use it to think about things, he also used it to make sure that his deeds and ideas were in line with his beliefs. This organized way of starting the day wasn't about following strict plans. It was about making sure that each day started on purpose. The saying, "well begun is half done," shows how important it is to start our days, projects, and chores in a way that makes us more likely to succeed. The wisdom of numerous other philosophers and psychologists throughout history bears witness to this principle's timeless relevance. Aristotle once said that habits are very important because they shape our personalities and our lives. It wasn't an act for him. He thought greatness was a habit. We build the habits that lead to a good and satisfying life by starting each day with routines that show how committed we are to doing our best. We learned from Plato about the world of forms, which is where everything is perfect. Our best selves come out when we try to meet that goal, even if we don't quite make it. Setting a clear goal at the start of the day is like directing ourselves toward our ideal form. We should try to be the best version of ourselves every day. We take control of our lives by welcoming each day with purpose. We set a good mood that affects everything we do. We keep in mind what's really important and make sure that our actions throughout the day are in line with our beliefs and top goals. To improve yourself and grow as a person, you need to find a balance between caring about other people and being strict with yourself. Marcus Aurelius taught that it is important to be gentle with others while being strict with oneself. This balance is beautifully summed up in his writings. This Stoic concept emphasizes the importance of self-discipline by telling us to be accountable for our actions, thoughts, and development, rather than putting our standards on other people. Self-discipline is definitely a trip that you take by yourself. It's a promise to hold ourselves to higher standards, to never give up on self-control, and to always try to get better. This isn't about having high standards of ourselves or being mean and cruel to ourselves. Instead, it's about realizing that we can grow and making a daily effort to become more like our ideal selves. Marcus Aurelius lived by what he taught. His meditations, which record his thoughts, show a man who was truly committed to self-examination, virtue, and the search for wisdom. He recognized that real progress comes from within and that we can develop peace, virtue, and resilience through discipline, thinking, and action. Other great philosophers and psychologists share this Stoic ideal of self-control. Aristotle said that virtue is the middle ground between two extremes that can be reached by getting used to it. He thought that if we always chose the good road, we could build a character that was known for being excellent. With this in mind, self-discipline is about finding the right amount of both too much and too little, pushing ourselves to grow while also being aware of our boundaries. Marcus Aurelius said that being strict with oneself is not about punishing or depriving oneself. It's about holding ourselves to a better standard, realizing that we can improve, and doing what we need to do to reach our full potential. It's about making decisions that are in line with our core values, even if they mean giving up something or putting in extra work. Marcus's advice to be patient with others also serves as a reminder of how important it is to understand, care about, and support others. As it says, everyone is on their own path, facing their own problems and learning their own lessons. By focusing on our own growth without forcing our standards on others, we not only develop self-discipline, but also kindness and respect for the different paths people take in the complex web of interactions. You will always run into tough people. It's a problem that affects everyone and can test our patience, break the peace, and even make us angry. Marcus Aurelius, on the other hand, saw this problem in a very different way. He didn't see tough people as problems, but as chances to develop and use Stoic virtues like patience, kindness, and understanding. This way of doing things isn't just about handling relationships with other people. It's also about growing as a person and taking control of your own life. Stoicism teaches us that we have control over how we respond to things happening around us, including how we deal with other people. Marcus Aurelius said that what other people do shouldn't affect our inner peace or affect how we feel. Instead, we should see dealing with tough people as a chance to grow as people, to practice the virtues that Stoicism values, and to rise above small complaints or annoyances. This doesn't mean putting up with bad behavior or letting ourselves be harmed. It means picking a reaction that fits with our values and our desire to be the best version of ourselves. Carl Jung came up with the idea of the inner self, which means that the things we don't like about other people are often reflections of ourselves. Don't be angry at people we haven't fully accepted yet, By being aware of this projection, we can use interactions with tough people as chances to learn more about ourselves and grow, becoming more accepting of all aspects of our humanity. We can improve our relationships and our responses to difficult situations by adopting Marcus Aurelius's perspective of not resenting people and instead seeing them as chances to practice Stoic virtues. It tells us to resist the urge to get angry right away and instead develop more patience, kindness, and understanding. Not only does this road lead to better relationships, it also leads to a fuller, more moral life. We live in a fast-paced world with lots of jobs, messages, and things that need our attention. Marcus Aurelius's question, "Is this essential?" is not only current, it's essential. This question makes us think, pause, and separate the important from the less important. It leads us to a life with purpose and meaning. Marcus supported the idea of focused on what's important and pushed for a life that wasn't ruled by the chaos of outside demands, but by the clarity of one's own values. Focusing on the important things and setting priorities is a Stoic concept that can help you get through the complicated things in modern life. Other great minds in Western philosophy and psychology have repeated the wisdom of focused on the important throughout the ages. Aristotle talked about the golden mean, which is the ideal point between two extremes, one of too much and one of not enough. Using this idea to guide our daily decisions and responsibilities, we find balance by doing things that are important for our happiness and satisfaction, staying away from the extremes of being too busy or not caring about anything. Plato said that we should always be looking for the good, the true, and the beautiful. These are the ideas that should lead our actions and decisions. By asking ourselves if something is necessary, we match our lives with these greater ideals and make sure that the things we do help us reach our final goals of wisdom, virtue, and beauty. Carl Jung looked deep into the human mind and emphasized the process of individuation, which is becoming who we really are. Focusing on the important things helps us get rid of the layers of social standards and surface-level wants, bringing us closer to our true selves and the unique road we are all supposed to take. The phrase amor fati, which means love of one's fate, tells us to accept and enjoy everything that life brings us, good or bad. When we face problems, amor fati tells us to love them and see them as important parts of our journey, instead of fighting them or being sad about them. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled Rome and had a lot of problems, lived by this principle by taking his situation and making the best of it, no matter how bad it was. This Stoic mantra echoes the wisdom of other philosophers like Aristotle, who taught that virtue and happiness come from accepting and doing good things in spite of the things that happen in life, not because of them. The Stoics think that because people are social, our own happiness is tied to the happiness of our group. Focusing on doing what's best for everyone means realizing that we are all linked and responsible for each other. It's a call to be moral, to make the world a better place, and to think about how our acts affect other people. This Stoic value can be seen in Plato's idea of an ideal society where everyone does their part for the greater good. As it tells us, real happiness doesn't come from doing things that are only good for ourselves, but from making other people's lives better. One of the most powerful Stoic warnings is memento mori, which means to think about our own death. This phrase is not depressing at all. Instead, it is a strong reminder to live our lives to the fullest, put what matters most first, and let go of small worries. Being aware of death was important to Marcus Aurelius and all Stoics. They thought it helped people enjoy life and the present moment more. Socrates also thought that a life that wasn't thought about was not worth living. This means that a life that is lived without being aware of how short it is misses its depth and meaning. We can live with more purpose, resilience and joy if we use these Stoic ideals in our daily lives. Amor Fati tells us to accept and find worth in everything that happens to us, even the bad things. This way, we can turn problems into chances to grow. Focusing on adding to the common good broadens our search for happiness beyond our own wants, making our lives better by improving the lives of others. Because we only have so much time, Memento Mori is a powerful lesson to focus on what's important, to love deeply, to be kind, and to live a worthwhile life. Life can feel like a maze of connections, a path that never ends and is full of turns and changes. But have you ever thought about whether the people in your life are really there for you or just want to take advantage of your kindness? I've been there, and I know what it's like to doubt the authenticity of our ties. It's like being at a fork in the road, not knowing which way to go to make real relationships that make you feel better, inspire you, and bring out the best in you. But what do you know? You're no longer on this trip by yourself. The signs that someone might be using you are subtle but telling. These aren't just random tips or general advice. They're carefully thought-out insights that you can relate to, learn from, and use in your own life. There are real answers here, ones that will help you see past the surface and handle your relationships with more self-respect and clarity. Because this isn't just about staying away from users and bad people, it's also about making and keeping bonds that are truly rewarding, bonds that make your life better, lift your feelings, and help you grow as a person. Are you ready to change how you think about and handle your relationships? Are you ready to make relationships that are more real and satisfying? You're in the right place if the answer is yes. Now let's begin. That's right. You've finally done something that you're proud of, and that took a lot of work. You're excited to tell someone about it and hope they give you a pat on the back, a high five, or just say, "Congrats." Instead, they say something like, "That's all." Or, when you talk about your hopes, dreams, and plans for the future, all you hear is them putting your ideas down. These comments aren't just polite ones, my friends. They're sneaky ways for some people to keep you doubting your own abilities. I feel like they want to make you feel small so they can feel big. For them, it's like a game. This is where Stoicism comes in handy, though. As you can see, Stoicism teaches us about focusing on what we can control. How do you feel about these negative comments? You have control over that, though. If someone says something negative about your goals or accomplishments, remember this Stoic principle. It says more about their own fears than it does about how valuable you are. They are telling you, "I'm scared of your success." What should you do? Friends, you can do something. You can either give these words power over you, or you can see them for what they are, the thoughts and feelings of someone else. Low self-esteem isn't something that other people can use against you. It's your shield and power, and it won't give in to their demands. Surround yourself with positive people who will really help and support you. From a Stoic point of view, other people's worries about their lives shouldn't matter because your own life is too valuable. Keep your peace, and remember that deeds speak louder than words. In the Stoic pursuit of personal growth, remember that your self-esteem is not something that other people can use to hurt you. It's your shield, your strength, and it's yours to protect. So the next time someone says something negative about you, deal with it calmly and with confidence. A real Stoic doesn't get into small arguments. They are sure of their own worth. Your journey is meant to help you grow as a person, and you deserve relationships that lift you up instead of bringing you down. Everyone has met these people at some point in their lives, those who can use words to tell stories and make big claims with the ease of a seasoned speaker. But when the time comes for them to do something about what they said, they disappear, leaving behind a trail of vows that were never kept. It seems like a magic show, doesn't it? They make you believe in things that aren't possible or seem unbelievable, and you can't wait for them to pull that rabbit out of the hat. But what you get is a feeling of sadness and an empty hat. Now, Stoicism teaches us something very important. It shows us that deeds are more important than words. You see, actions don't lie. They show what someone really wants and how committed they are. In this case, promises that are easily made but rarely paid for are a sign. Watch out for the trend. Does this person always fail when it means the most? Are there words like lovely house plans that never get put together? People can't trust each other based on words alone. This is where Stoicism comes back into play. Being picky is not the same thing as being pessimistic. Relationships and trust are built on how well people say and do things. It's a red flag when someone's deeds don't always match what they say. It could mean that they care more about being seen as helpful than actually helping. When you realize this, you give yourself the power to choose wisely who to include in your close circle. So, remember that your time and emotions are valuable. Only give them to people who not only talk, but also act in a sincere and honest way. Quality is better than number. You're not just a resource in a relationship, you're a person who deserves a healthy two-way link. On this trip called life, you deserve a team that will help you. Don't settle for a one-person show. How else could you grow, after all? For when people break their promises, remember this Stoic wisdom. It's not about being skeptical, it's about being smart. A base of words and deeds in harmony is the basis for trust and relationships. People who always fail to do what they say they will do might not be the best people to be with. Imagine that you're always there for your partner. In exchange for your help and time, what do you get? What silence means? It's not just kind to offer help when you need it. It's a clear sign that you're not respected. Friends, this is where our friend Stoicism comes in. So, Stoicism teaches us about balance and respecting each other, which are important for any good relationship. Your worth isn't based on how generous or available you are. Be aware of this one-sided relationship and be brave enough to set limits. You have to respect yourself, not be greedy. Talk to each other honestly and see who changes. People who don't want to respond are just making room for people who really care about you. Quality is more important than number. You're not just a resource in a relationship. You're a person who deserves a healthy two-way link. Don't be happy being the only musician in your relationship group. You deserve a team to help you along the way. Really, how can you grow if you have to carry the whole world by yourself? Stoicism tells us that our self-esteem is not something that other people can use to hurt us. Rather, it is our shield, our power, and it is ours to guard. So the next time someone says something negative about you, deal with it calmly and with confidence. A real Stoic doesn't get into small arguments. They are sure of their own worth. Your journey is meant to help you grow as a person, and you deserve relationships that lift you up instead of bringing you down. Everyone has met these people at some point in their lives, those who can use words to tell stories and make big claims with the ease of a seasoned speaker. But when the time comes for them to do something about what they said, they disappear, leaving behind a trail of vows that were never kept. It seems like a magic show, doesn't it? They make you believe in things that aren't possible or seem unbelievable, and you can't wait for them to pull that rabbit out of the hat. But what you get is a feeling of sadness and an empty hat. Now, Stoicism teaches us something very important. It shows us that deeds are more important than words. You see, actions don't lie. They show what someone really wants and how committed they are. In this case, promises that are easily made but rarely paid for are a sign. Watch out for the trend. Does this person always fail when it means the most? Are there words like lovely house plans that never get put together? People can't trust each other based on words alone. This is where Stoicism comes back into play. Being picky is not the same thing as being pessimistic. Relationships and trust are built on how well people say and do things. It's a red flag when someone's deeds don't always match what they say. It could mean that they care more about being seen as helpful than actually helping. When you realize this, you give yourself the power to choose wisely who to include in your close circle. So, remember that your time and emotions are valuable. Only give them to people who not only talk, but also act in a sincere and honest way. Quality is better than number. You're not just a resource in a relationship. You're a person who deserves a healthy two-way link. On this trip called life, you deserve a team that will help you. Don't settle for a one-person show. How else could you grow, after all? For when people break their promises, remember this Stoic wisdom. It's not about being skeptical, it's about being smart. A base of words and deeds in harmony is the basis for trust and relationships. People who always fail to do what they say they will do might not be the best people to be with. Imagine that you're always there for your partner. In exchange for your help and time, what do you get? What silence means. It's not just kind to offer help when you need it. It's a clear sign that you're not respected. Friends, this is where our friend Stoicism comes in. So, Stoicism teaches us about balance and respecting each other, which are important for any good relationship. Your worth isn't based on how generous or available you are. Be aware of this one-sided relationship and be brave enough to set limits. You have to respect yourself, not be greedy. Talk to each other honestly and see who changes. People who don't want to respond are just making room for people who really care about you. Quality is more important than number. You're not just a resource in a relationship. You're a person who deserves a healthy two-way link. Don't be happy being the only musician in your relationship group. You deserve a team to help you along the way. Really, how can you grow if you have to carry the whole world by yourself? Stoicism tells us that our self-esteem is not something that other people can use to hurt us. Rather, it is our shield, our power, and it is ours to guard. So the next time someone says something negative about you, deal with it calmly and with confidence. A real Stoic doesn't get into small arguments. They are sure of their own worth. Your journey is meant to help you grow as a person, and you deserve relationships that lift you up instead of bringing you down. Everyone has met these people at some point in their lives, those who can use words to tell stories and make big claims with the ease of a seasoned speaker. But when the time comes for them to do something about what they said, they disappear, leaving behind a trail of vows that were never kept. It seems like a magic show, doesn't it? They make you believe in things that aren't possible or seem unbelievable, and you can't wait for them to pull that rabbit out of the hat. But what you get is a feeling of sadness and an empty hat. Now, Stoicism teaches us something very important. It shows us that deeds are more important than words. You see, actions don't lie. They show what someone really wants and how committed they are. In this case, promises that are easily made but rarely paid for are a sign. Watch out for the trend. Does this person always fail when it means the most? Are their words like lovely house plans that never get put together? People can't trust each other based on words alone. This is where Stoicism comes back into play. Being picky is not the same thing as being pessimistic. Relationships and trust are built on how well people say and do things. It's a red flag when someone's deeds don't always match what they say. It could mean that they care more about being seen as helpful than actually helping. When you realize this, you give yourself the power to choose wisely who to include in your close circle. So, remember that your time and emotions are valuable. Only give them to people who not only talk, but also act in a sincere and honest way. Quality is better than number. You're not just a resource in a relationship, you're a person who deserves a healthy two-way link. On this trip called life, you deserve a team that will help you. Don't settle for a one-person show. How else could you grow after all? For when people break their promises, remember this Stoic wisdom. It's not about being skeptical, it's about being smart. A base of words and deeds in harmony is the basis for trust and relationships. People who always fail to do what they say they will do might not be the best people to be with. Imagine that you're always there for your partner. In exchange for your help and time, what do you get? What silence means? It's not just kind to offer help when you need it. It's a clear sign that you're not respected. Friends, this is where our friend Stoicism comes in. So, Stoicism teaches us about balance and respecting each other, which are important for any good relationship. Your worth isn't based on how generous or available you are. Be aware of this one-sided relationship and be brave enough to set limits. You have to respect yourself, not be greedy. Talk to each other honestly and see who changes. People who don't want to respond are just making room for people who really care about you. Quality is more important than number. You're not just a resource in a relationship, you're a person who deserves a healthy two-way link. Don't be happy being the only musician in your relationship group. You deserve a team to help you along the way. Really, how can you grow if you have to carry the whole world by yourself? Stoicism tells us that our self-esteem is not something that other people can use to hurt us. Rather, it is our shield, our power, and it is ours to guard. So the next time someone says something negative about you, deal with it calmly and with confidence. A real Stoic doesn't get into small arguments. They are sure of their own worth. Your journey is meant to help you grow as a person, and you deserve relationships that lift you up instead of bringing you down. Everyone has met these people at some point in their lives. Those who can use words to tell stories and make big claims with the ease of a seasoned speaker. But when the time comes for them to do something about what they said, they disappear, leaving behind a trail of vows that were never kept. It seems like a magic show, doesn't it? They make you believe in things that aren't possible or seem unbelievable, and you can't wait for them to pull that rabbit out of the hat. But what you get is a feeling of sadness and an empty hat. Now, Stoicism teaches us something very important. It shows us that deeds are more important than words. You see, actions don't lie. They show what someone really wants and how committed they are. In this case, promises that are easily made but rarely paid for are a sign. Watch out for the trend. Does this person always fail when it means the most? Are their words like lovely house plans that never get put together? People can't trust each other based on words alone. This is where Stoicism comes back into play. Being picky is not the same thing as being pessimistic. Relationships and trust are built on how well people say and do things. It's a red flag when someone's deeds don't always match what they say. It could mean that they care more about being seen as helpful than actually helping. When you realize this, you give yourself the power to choose wisely who to include in your close circle. So, remember that your time and emotions are valuable. Only give them to people who not only talk, but also act in a sincere and honest way. Quality is better than number. You're not just a resource in a relationship, you're a person who deserves a healthy two-way link. On this trip called life, you deserve a team that will help you. Don't settle for a one-person show. How else could you grow, after all? For when people break their promises, remember this Stoic wisdom. It's not about being skeptical, it's about being smart. A base of words and deeds in harmony is the basis for trust and relationships. People who always fail to do what they say they will do might not be the best people to be with. Stoicism tells us not to be angry or unhappy about friends who don't show up when we need them, but to focus on our own toughness, resilience, and ability to handle life's storms. Stoicism tells us to focus on ourselves and build up our inner strength, because character is what counts most in the end. What's really beautiful about this? After following the Stoic rules, you'll find that you are a source of power for others as well as yourself. You'll become the kind of friend who is there for them through good times and bad. Don't forget that your inner Stoic strength is always with you, even if your friends are moody. Strengthen your own character and resilience, and be the kind of friend you'd want when you're going through a tough time. Understanding what is within our control and what is not is a key component of Stoicism. The things we can't control are usually the acts and decisions of other people, like whether they respond in a relationship. The Stoic point, though, is that healthy relationships need a mix of giving and taking. It's about realizing that you can't change someone else's behavior or make them act in a certain way, but you can control how you handle it. Stoicism instructs us to concentrate on our own virtues and beliefs. It makes us want to be the best versions of ourselves no matter what other people do. Just remember that you have control over what you do if you're in a situation where you're always giving but never getting anything in return. Setting good limits and being clear about what you need is not about tit for tat. Stoicism tells us that no matter what is going on around us, we should always try to be the best version of ourselves. Stoicism instructs us to focus on ourselves and grow our own sense of satisfaction rather than feeling angry or irritated. Finding contentment in being the best version of ourselves, regardless of whether other people feel the same way, is the goal. The beautiful thing is that when you follow Stoic ideals, you shine like a star of power and virtue. You learn how to set healthy limits and make your wants known in a clear way. So let's remember that even though not reciprocating in a relationship can be hard, it's also a chance to learn more about yourself and grow. Pay attention to your own personality, your own beliefs, and your path to becoming the best person you can be. Focusing on what you can control and accepting what you can't is a part of Stoicism. Well, it's true that we can't always control what other people do, including betrayals. In this case, though, the Stoic grounding helps us face the problem clearly and choose how to move forward. It tells us that while we can't control what other people do, we can control how we react to what they do. Stoicism tells us to be resilient in the face of hardship and keep our inner tranquility even when our trust is broken. Knowing that treason is due to the other person's decisions, not our own, is one way to deal with it. Stoicism instructs us to step back, evaluate the situation with a clear mind, and decide how we want to continue rather than becoming consumed by anger or hatred. It's not about getting back at someone or carrying a grudge. Stoicism tells us to pick the road that fits with our morals and values. In the face of treason, it's about choosing the most moral thing to do. And here's the powerful part. When you practice Stoic principles in the face of betrayal, you become a model of resilience and wisdom. You change into the kind of person who can handle the storm with honor and grace. Let's remember that rejection can be a chance to learn more about ourselves and grow, even though it hurts. This is your chance to reaffirm your morals, beliefs, and determination to live a good life. This is like telling you, you're important, but only when I decide you are, which can hurt your self-esteem, your sense of worth, and your peace of mind. Let's add some Stoicism now. Stoicism shows us how important it is to respect and value ourselves. It tells us that our worth isn't tied to what other people do or say. The Stoic philosophy gives us a sense of security and a grounding strength. From this, we learn that it's okay to set limits, defend our own worth, and not be available whenever someone else wants us to be. When we adopt Stoic principles, we start to value ourselves more, not in a cocky way, but in a way that respects our own worth and honor. Keep that Stoic wisdom in mind the next time someone puts you on standby, to tell you that you are a person with your own thoughts, feelings and worth, not a pawn in someone else's game. As for the thing in question, when you start living by Stoic principles, you become less easy for other people to control. Your strength, focus, and sense of control over your life all improve. Don't let anyone play games with your mind or heart. Take a deep breath and remember how valuable you are. You are the star of your own show in life's big theater. Selective availability may try to dim your light, but if you use Stoicism as your base, you can always shine brightly and honestly, no matter what the waves are outside. To become more stoic, you need to understand that setting limits and saying no isn't selfish. It's an important part of self-care that is necessary for your general health. So, in Stoicism, there's this beautiful idea of knowing what you can control and what you can't. There are things you can control about your actions and limits, but you can't change how someone else sees or responds to them. Therefore, when someone tries to make you feel bad for taking care of yourself, keep in mind the Stoic wisdom that tells you to focus on your own virtues and values and not let other people's opinions influence you. Being selfish or mean isn't the point. It's about respecting your own wants and limits. In the end, giving in to shame all the time is like giving up your powerful self. Self-compassion and kindness toward oneself are taught in the Stoic philosophy. It's not only okay to say no when you need to, it's what self-love looks like. It tells you that your health and happiness are important. Also, keep in mind that manipulators love making you feel guilty. When you practice Stoicism, on the other hand, you become hard to hurt. You become a stronghold of your own inner power. Take a deep breath, remember yourself of the Stoic lessons, and stand firm the next time someone tries to make you feel bad for setting limits or taking care of yourself. It's worth it for your health. A beautiful lesson about how important virtue and wisdom are can be found in Stoicism. Not only does it depend on how we act, but also on the people we hang out with. It can be disappointing to be in a relationship where your feelings, thoughts, and ideas aren't respected or even thought about. But remember that Stoicism shows us how important it is to be with people who care about our inner lives. You see, being interested in each other on a personal level is a key part of a real relationship. Talking isn't enough. You also need to listen, learn, and value what the other person has to say. We learn about the wisdom of picking the right group in Stoicism. Many people tell us to look for relationships where we can really share our thoughts and feelings and care about each other's well-being. It's important to remember that you deserve more if you're in a partnership where one person doesn't care about what you think or feel. You deserve to connect with people who value your inner world. It's okay to put important ties first in your life, as Stoicism tells us. You're not supposed to cut people off. Instead, you should make relationships that make your life better. As you think about your relationships, remember that Stoic wisdom tells us to focus on what we can control, our choices, our ideals, and the people we hang out with. It might be time to find a partner who's ready to fight with you and who values your thoughts and feelings if you're stuck in a one-sided tennis match with your partner. The value of virtue, which includes wisdom and kindness, is profoundly taught in the world of Stoicism. It is not only about how we act, but also how we interact with other people. It can be very annoying to be in a meeting where everyone is talking about themselves and no one is listening. But remember that Stoicism teaches us how important it is to change the subject in order to have fair talks. In a good and deep talk, both people should be able to say what they want to say. They have the right to be heard, and so do you. There is no one-way flow in this conversation. It goes both ways. We learn about the wisdom of being fair in our relationships in Stoicism. It's urged that when we interact with others, we should value our own thoughts and feelings as well. Always remember that you have the power to change the subject if you feel like you're stuck in a one-sided talk. It's fine to guide the conversation toward a more fair sharing of thoughts and feelings. Stoicism tells us that it's important to be honest when we talk to other people. It's about making sure that people hear and respect your voice. Consider the Stoic wisdom, which tells us to concentrate on what we can control: our actions, our decisions, and our desire to be fair as you go through these talks. That's why you shouldn't be afraid to look for real links that match your values and goals if you feel like your words are just background noise. Stoicism tells us that life is too short to spend in relationships that lack authenticity and meaning. It tells us to enjoy the beauty of real relationships where minds and hearts meet in a deep way. Therefore, as you go through life, keep in mind to look for real links that are in line with the Stoic ideals of truthfulness, wisdom, and true interest. If you feel ignored all the time, it might be time to adopt a Stoic attitude. That means sticking up for your honor without getting angry, but with cool determination. To sum up, Stoicism is not about getting angry or frustrated. It's about answering with kindness and wisdom. It feels like peace in the middle of a storm. The Stoic concept of self-respect can help you if people in your relationships don't respect you. This poem tells us that we should never put up with being treated badly. Take a deep breath and remember that you can handle this in a cool but strong way. In line with what the Stoics say, it's about setting limits and proving your worth. When we practice Stoicism, we are told to pay attention to what we can control. This includes how other people treat us. We don't have to put up with any kind of rudeness. It's a soft but strong warning of that. Bring out your inner Stoic as you deal with your relationships, especially when you feel like you're not being respected. Use the wisdom and kindness that this philosophy teaches you to stand up for your honor. People should respect you, and the Stoic way to stand firm on that truth is to do so quietly. There are many times in our lives when our determination, patience, and endurance are put to the test. That tough decision of whether to stick with something or give up is something that everyone faces. Whether it's a job path that doesn't fit with their values anymore, a relationship that's over, or a place that stops their growth instead of helping it. Think about the last time you were stuck or unsure about whether to leave a tough situation. Did you hear one voice telling you it might be time to move on, and another telling you to stay and fight harder? This struggle inside us isn't just about making a choice. It's also about figuring out the greater values and ideals that help us make choices. Now, let's talk about Stoicism, an interesting point of view that can help us understand this subject better. Ancient philosophers called the Stoics pushed the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. They can help us figure out how to solve our problem. They taught us how important it is to know the difference between things we can control and things we can't. To deal with situations where we feel weak or helpless, Stoicism asks us to think, can we change the outcome? If not, could our efforts be put to better use somewhere else? Stoicism also teaches us about preferred indifference, which means things outside of ourselves that are nice to have but not necessary for our happiness and virtue. When we really want to walk away but aren't sure, we often worry that we'll lose our chosen lack of interest. But if we ground ourselves in Stoic wisdom, we can look at our situation with more clarity and calmness, focused on who we are and what really means. We will now go into more detail about these themes and look at how Stoic ideas can help us make the hard choice of when to leave. When does determination become self-sabotage? How can we tell the difference between important struggle and needless suffering? How can we accept the freeing act of letting go when it serves our greater good? When we talk about leaving, what pictures or situations do you have in mind? Is it leaving a job that makes you feel down every day? Is it stopping a relationship that's no longer nice and pleasant, but instead hurts all the time? You might also be stepping back from a long-held dream that, despite your best efforts, you just can't seem to reach. The choice to walk away can show up in many different areas of our lives, each with its own problems and effects. At the heart of all of these choices is the awareness that something basic is not matched with our well-being and growth potential. But why does making this choice cause so much trouble and doubt? After all, it makes sense to leave something behind if it regularly makes us unhappy or gets in the way of our growth. This is where the wisdom of Stoicism can help you see things more clearly. The Stoics tell us that people are attached and dependent on their habits. We hold on to what we know, even if it's bad for us, because it makes us feel safe and predictable. We naturally don't like change because we're afraid of the unknown and loss that it might bring. Stoicism also teaches us the importance of resilience and perseverance. These virtues are admirable, and they are often required to do great things. They can hold us back in settings that aren't good for us, though, if we don't use them carefully. Socrates' dilemma of control principle tells us to figure out what we can change and what we have to accept. Realizing that we can't change the nature of a bad job, a bad relationship, or an unreachable goal is sometimes the toughest and smartest thing we can do. When this happens, going away isn't a sign of giving up. It shows how smart and brave we are. But answering the question of when to walk away isn't about giving a one-size-fits-all answer. It's about getting us to think deeply about our own lives. It means asking ourselves if we're hanging on to something because it really makes us happy or because we're afraid, stuck, or committed in the wrong way. Are we giving up our potential and peace for a false sense of security or a wrong sense of duty? The idea of Stoicism tells us to live in harmony with nature, which includes ourselves, understanding our feelings and using virtue and reason to deal with the problems we face in life. What does this have to do with knowing when to leave? What Stoicism really does is help us figure out what we can control and what we can't. It tells us to carefully spend our energy by focusing on our actions, emotions, and responses instead of things that happen outside of our control. Imagine yourself in a setting where you experience ongoing sadness or anger. It could be a job that goes against your values or a relationship that has turned bad. If you're stoic, you should ask, can I change this? Should I be able to change these outside factors? If you say no, the philosophy will tell you to accept what you can't change and think about whether sticking in that situation is in line with living a good and happy life. Now, let's talk about another Stoic idea, amor fati, which means love of fate. With this concept in mind, we should be open to whatever life brings our way and see it as a chance to learn and grow. However, liking our fate doesn't mean allowing ourselves to suffer needlessly or holding on to things that hurt our health. Instead, it's about knowing when our problems are meant to help us and when they're just stopping us from reaching our full potential. From a Stoic point of view, walking away isn't a way to avoid problems or avoid taking responsibility. It's a choice to live our lives in a way that is truly good for us, which may mean letting go of things we can't change so we can focus on the things we can. To respect our nature by looking for places and people that help us grow, we must act with wisdom and courage. We'll look more closely at specific Stoic lessons and how they can help us make decisions when we're at a point in our lives as we go through these academic views. We will talk about how the Stoic virtues of wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation can help us make decisions that are in line with our core values and goals. The saying, "Experience is the best teacher," comes to mind. Yes, it's true. Real-life experiences can have a big effect on how we understand things and make choices. It takes guts to leave things that don't serve us anymore. When we do this, we're not just turning away from something, we're moving into new opportunities. What are these perks, though? How does leaving open up chances for happiness and personal growth? Stoicism is based on virtue and wisdom. How does that help us value these benefits even more? For starters, leaving can give you a deep sense of freedom. Imagine how light it will feel when you finally let go of something that has been weighing you down, like a bad relationship, a job that is too much, or an impossible goal. You can breathe, get back in touch with your core values, and focus your energy on things that are true to who you are now that you have more freedom. Stoicism shows us the importance of freedom, not as something that happens to us, but as a way of being. We are free to choose our own road, and by walking away, we are living up to the Stoic ideal of living in harmony with nature, our own true nature. Also, leaving can help you grow and learn more about yourself. We frequently discover the most about ourselves, our resilience, our ideals, and our desires after a challenging leave. These thoughts are very important because they shape who we are and help us make decisions about the future. According to Stoicism, we should see every situation as a chance to learn and grow. So, when we leave a bad situation, we're not just getting away from bad things. We're also taking the chance to grow in virtues like wisdom, courage, and temperance, which are important for living a good Stoic life. One of the biggest benefits is the chance to make relationships and surroundings better. When we leave a bad situation, we make room for better, more healthy relationships to come into our lives. This could be co-workers who support and inspire us, friends who lift us up and understand us, or partners who respect and love us. When you walk away, you make room for more satisfying exchanges. In Stoicism, oikiosis is the idea that we naturally want to connect with and care for others. This means that building good relationships is important for our health and moral growth. Lastly, leaving can help us feel stronger in our power and self-respect. Deciding to leave, especially when things are bad, is a strong statement of our worth and independence. It means that we value ourselves enough to leave behind things that make us feel less important. Stoicism tells us that our worth comes not from praise or material things, but from our ability to live a good life. Making the choice to leave settings that go against our values helps us respect our own worth and gain peace and confidence in ourselves. As we talk about these perks, I want you to think about how they apply to your own life. Think about the times you were brave enough to leave something behind and how that decision helped you find your way. And if you're at a crossroads right now, think about how these lessons could help you make a choice. Remember that leaving something behind isn't the only thing that matters. It's also the journey that lies ahead and the growth, freedom, and happiness that lie ahead when you pick the right road. It's not always easy to decide to walk away. It's a difficult road that requires guts, thought, and smart decision-making at every turn. But what is it about this choice that is so scary? And how can Stoic philosophy assist us in navigating these choppy seas with more clarity and resilience? One of the biggest problems is that leaving can cause a lot of mental turmoil. We can't always make the best decisions when we're feeling a lot of different emotions at once. These emotions can include guilt, fear, regret, or sadness. Stoicism, on the other hand, gives us a good point of view. It teaches us to be aware of our feelings without letting them take over. We can choose logically rather than emotionally by accepting our feelings and understanding their fleeting nature. When we control our emotions and keep a realistic point of view, we can reach apatheia, which the Stoics call state of inner tranquility. In this case, Emotional resilience means building the mental strength to make tough choices with calm and clarity. Another big problem is being afraid of what you don't know. When we walk away, we often leave our safety zone and go into unknown land. What's coming up? Will we feel bad about what we chose? Such questions can stop you in your tracks. Stoicism, on the other hand, tells us to accept that life is full of doubt. It tells us to live in the present, do the best we can with the things we can control, and accept the things we can't. By separating ourselves from the results, what the Stoics call ataraxia, which means undisturbance, we can get over our fear of the unknown and move forward, sure that we can change and do well no matter what. It can also be hard to leave because of social pressures and demands. People may fear that we will be judged, let down people we care about, or break traditional rules. In this case, Stoicism tells us how important it is to follow our own values and decisions instead of letting other people's views affect how we live. The Stoic concept of liberty says that we have the right to make our own choices about what's good and right, based on what we know to be true. We can deal with the pressures of society with honesty and authenticity if we listen to our inner guide and hold fast to our beliefs. Finally, it can be hard to let go of things we've put in, like our time, energy, feelings, or finances. This is where the Stoic idea of changelessness can help us. We can let go of the status quo and make peace with the necessity of moving on when we realize that everything is open to change and loss. It tells us that we should not find happiness in outside situations, but in our ability to live a good life no matter what. Let's think about how Stoicism not only helps us see the problems we face, but also gives us the strength to deal with them with wisdom, courage, and calmness as we think about these tasks and things to think about. Remember that leaving someone is a very personal choice that is often hard to make. But if we base our actions on Stoic ideas, we can face it with more clarity, strength, and peace, knowing that it's a step toward respecting our true selves and creating a life that truly flourishes. When we're thinking about whether to leave, it's important to go through this choice with both our hearts and minds. It can be scary to make such a choice, but with the right help and a Stoic mind, we can make it with confidence and clarity. Then how do we figure out what the right thing to do is? And how does Stoic wisdom show us the way? Let's look at some direction and direction-setting tips that can help us stick to the right path. Being self-aware is the first step. Take a moment to connect with yourself, listen to your inner voice, and figure out what you want and value in life. Ask yourself, does this situation fit with what I believe in? Do I think it will help me grow and be healthy? When we think about these things, we can make choices that are in line with who we really are. Self-awareness is a virtue that Stoicism teaches us. It tells us to know ourselves deeply and live in line with our nature. When we make decisions based on our values, we live with honesty and purpose, making sure that our behaviors are in line with who we really are. The idea of change and the ever-changing nature of life, as stressed by Stoicism, should be considered next. Know that both staying and leaving will bring you new adventures and difficulties. Accept the thought that change is an important part of growing and developing. Remind yourself that new starts are often hidden in ends when you want to leave. In order to move forward with peace, you need to be able to go with the flow of life and understand that change is a chance to learn and grow. Also, think about your case carefully and logically. Stoicism doesn't tell us to make snap choices based on our feelings. Instead, it tells us to use our minds to think through our problems rationally. Think about the pros and cons, the possible results, and how your choice will affect things. Get help from people you trust who can give you different points of view, but remember that the final decision is yours. As Stoics, We are informed of the value of using our reason and judgment to deal with life's difficulties and make sure our choices are well thought out and logical. Another piece of Stoic advice is to think about what will happen after you make your choice. Play through your mind the possible outcomes of both staying and leaving. Thinking about the worst-case scenarios is a Stoic practice called negative visualization. It can help you feel less anxious about the future and build your resilience by getting your mind ready for different results. You can strengthen yourself against fear and doubt so that you can face whatever the future brings with calm and strength. Finally, be brave and sure of your choice when you make it. Once you've thought about it and decided what to do, you should move forward with purpose. Being brave is important not only when we are facing problems, but also when we have to make hard choices that are good for us and in line with our values. Remember that it's normal to be scared about going into the unknown, but being brave enough to face this fear can lead to huge personal growth and happiness. As we come to the end of this conversation, it's important to take a moment to think about the trip we've been on together. The choice to walk away, which is filled with feeling and complexity, is a powerful example of what it means to be human. Making that choice will require a lot of self-awareness, wisdom, and bravery. The way may be full of hurdles and unknowns, but it's also full of chances to grow, be free, and find out more about yourself. Stoicism reminds us that our ability to choose our responses to the outside world, to match our actions with our core values, and to seek a life marked by virtue and meaning is where our power is found. Stoicism offers more than just intellectual ideas. It also offers useful tools and a strong framework for living a happy and healthy life. It teaches us that we have complete control over our thoughts, feelings, and actions, even though we can't change what happens in the outside world. When you're at a crossroads and not sure whether to stay or leave, remember the Stoic virtues: wisdom to find the best way forward, courage to follow through on your choice, justice to think about how your actions will affect others and yourself, and temperance to stay balanced and in control during times of change. Think about the kind of life you want to live and the kind of person you want to be as a Stoic practice. These thoughts should help you find your way, whether it's to stay and keep going or to take a chance on the unknown with hope in your heart and a clear mind. Remember that leaving is not the end, but the beginning of a new journey to reconnect with your true self, make new friends, and grow in ways you never thought possible. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor and philosopher, once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike the person who hurt you." If someone has hurt you, or if a situation is no longer good for you, choose to respond with strength, dignity, and a forward-looking gaze instead of anger or regret. In the end, whether you decide to leave or stay, do it carefully and with a plan. Let your choice be based on your inner values and goals, and as you go forward, remember the lessons of Stoicism, that peace comes from within, that we create our own world, and that every choice we make is a chance to grow in virtue, resilience, and joy. Temperance is the skill of choosing to act on your thoughts instead of your feelings. When you are Stoic, you are very good at fighting things instead of responding to them. One of the 4 defining virtues, along with wisdom, is temperance. In a nutshell, temperance is a state of equilibrium and moderation that affects all facets of life. It is very important to have this virtue because it helps us make smart choices, especially when we are faced with problems. Self-control and balance are important for justice and courage. We need to know our boundaries and not let our emotions take over when we're under a lot of stress. You have a big problem with self-control if your feelings, like anger or excitement, take over a lot. This makes it hard to stay calm, keep your mind clear, and solve problems. We turn to Stoicism to get past this problem. It's important to me to be honest and logical. You can make temperance one of your virtues by using these 10 ideas based on important lessons from history. Accept what you can control is the first lesson. Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught us about the duality of control, which is one of the most important ideas in Stoic philosophy. At the heart of this teaching is the idea that our lives are divided into parts we can control and parts we can't. This idea is very important for keeping a cool and collected attitude, even when things in life are unclear. Either way, Epictetus basically tells us to focus our energy and attention on the parts of life that we can control. Our thoughts, acts, goals, and responses are some of these. We can move through life with a sense of purpose and success if we focus on what we can really control. The basis of our tranquility is the realization that we are in charge of our own inner world. And on the other hand, we should recognize that events and situations outside of our control are often out of our hands. Epictetus shows that a shooter can aim carefully, draw the bowstring precisely, and release the shot skillfully, but still not know how it will fly. In the same way, we need to learn to let go of our connection to events we can't control. This release is not giving up. It's a choice to be calm in the face of the unpredictable nature of life. Epictetus's image of the shooter finding contentment in knowing they gave it their all, no matter what happened to the target, is a powerful reminder of the Stoic way of life. Focusing on our goals and the hard work we put in, while knowing that the results will depend on many outside factors, is what this quote suggests. Stoicism basically tells us to take charge of our inner world and use the tension between control and lack of control as a strong tool to stay calm and collected in a world where we can't change much. By focusing on what we can change, we free ourselves from the frustration of trying to control things that we can't. This lets us find peace of mind in knowing that we did everything we could with the tools we had. The power of acceptance is the second lesson. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and philosopher, stands out in the vast fabric of Stoic philosophy. People all over the world still think about and quote his meditations, which are often seen as a timeless masterpiece of deep wisdom. They show one of the most important lessons in Stoicism, the lesson of acceptance. Marcus Aurelius takes us on a deep look into what it means to be human, recognizing that both success and failure are inevitable. He sees life as a symphony of ups and downs, a steady ebb and flow in this constantly changing world. Out of our control are things and situations that are out of our control. Marcus Aurelius, as a Stoic teacher, praises the virtue of taking these facts that can't be changed. In the Stoic sense, to accept means to accept that life is unpredictable and short-lived. In order to walk in harmony with the universe's constant beat, you have to let go of your attachments to certain results. Marcus Aurelius said that fighting against the way things should happen only causes trouble and chaos. The Stoic view on acceptance is like setting sail on the sea of life without a set goal, but having faith in the journey itself, like a ship fighting against a strong current. You are being asked to let go of the need for absolute control and instead flow with the ever-changing flow of life, to dance to the music of the universe, no matter how calm or stormy the notes are. The lesson is the foundation of inner peace and tranquility. It is the personification of Stoic moderation in the world of Stoicism. It tells us to be open to the unpredictable parts of life, enjoy the sweetness of success, and handle the storms of bad luck with grace. Marcus Aurelius showed us that the power of acceptance is like a lighthouse that helps us find our way through life's maze, so we can face every moment and situation with a calm mind. In this state of mind, you accept that life is unpredictable and find deep peace in the middle of its constantly changing scenery. Lesson 3. Don't let your desires get out of control. Seneca's Conference on the Stoic Principles of Moderation is a gem in and of itself. It is a beautiful picture of Stoic philosophy, which is made up of lines of reason and ethics. A famous philosopher named Seneca wrote deep philosophy writings on ethics and personal growth. In these essays, he teaches us a very important lesson. We need to control the strong wants that often threaten to overwhelm our inner peace. The main idea behind Stoic philosophy is that strong wants, like rough seas, can destroy our lives and leave us unhappy and in chaos. The risk of an unchecked desire for wealth was understood by Stoic philosophers, who were always seeking inner tranquility. They understood that having a lot of money and things wasn't necessary for living a good and smart life. According to Seneca, who shared the Stoic spirit, true contentment can be found in the peaceful world of limited wants. Because of this lesson, we should steer clear of the rough seas of life and instead focus on finding peace within. Seneca's wisdom shines a light on the Stoic road, which tells us to keep our wants simple and only seek what is necessary for a good and moral life. We find the valuable gems of contentment and tranquility in this simplicity, free from the whims of outside luck. In order to stay calm and peaceful, the Stoic practice of holding back strong wants becomes your guidance. Within these walls of ancient wisdom, we find the deepest truth, that the quest of love for material things is only a passing dream, and that the real riches are inside, waiting to be found. Imagine that you have a good job, a big house, and a lot of money, but you always feel like you need more. Focusing on what is necessary and limiting wants that aren't necessary are important ideas in Stoic philosophy. You focus on goodness and ethics instead of chasing a lot of things that aren't important. Without getting caught up in the never-ending race for material things, you experience inner contentment and tranquility. To keep life interesting and quiet without always looking for new things, this is an example of Stoicism. Stoicism's commitment to inner control and the moderation of wants, opening the way to the holy place of inner peace, is demonstrated by Seneca's talks, which endure today. Lesson number 4. Recognize that everything in life is temporary. In Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, which are long and deep, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher got to the heart of life, which is full of changes. The wisdom of accepting the ever-changing nature of existence as a basis for keeping a calm and peaceful state of mind is demonstrated by his lessons. Through the view of Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius teaches a lesson that might be one of the most important for finding inner peace: to understand that things in life are only temporary. Being aware of this fact as a Stoic is often called the transitory nature of life. Being aware of this fact is not a sign of hopelessness, but a source of deep power in our lives. This lesson is about realizing that nothing about the human experience stays the same, not even the good times and the hard times. The endless and ever-flowing nature of the world makes a fabric of ongoing change. Stoic masters don't try to stop this dance of the universe. Instead, they enter it with ease and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius tells us to let go of our connection to short-lived things and moments, like the star in the night sky, and the things we focus on for a short time. He tells us to enjoy the things and moments that come into our lives, but to let them go when the time is right. By doing this, we find a safe place inside that is calm and peaceful, protected from the storms outside. According to Marcus Aurelius, accepting that everything changes is good for the soul. It gives us peace of mind when things change in our lives by freeing us from the stress of holding on to what was and what could have been. Through this Stoic lesson, we learn to build inner patience, which gives us a special strength to deal with the problems that come up in life. Picture yourself on a beach watching a beautiful sunset. The waves are calm, and the sun is slowly going down behind the horizon. You are aware that this moment is transient, according to Stoic philosophy. You choose not to feel sad or attached, but to fully enjoy every moment without letting the fact that things change affect your soul. Because the sunset is so beautiful, you enjoy it and let it go. During this time, you can enjoy a calm and peaceful moment without worrying that you might lose it. Being calm and peaceful is something you do every day. Realizing that life is short is the first step toward deep inner peace. We understand that our ability to stay cool and collected is independent of the outside world. Like the stars that keep shining in the sky even when clouds pass over, it is a presence that lasts. Through his Stoic wisdom, Marcus Aurelius asks us to enjoy the light of this understanding, which gives us the chance to enjoy life's moments while staying at peace. Lesson 5. Be a good person. Virtue is at the heart of Stoicism, and great Stoic philosophers like Epicurus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius supported and encouraged it. This unwavering dedication to virtue is at the heart of this old philosophy. Some of the Stoic virtues are modesty, courage, wisdom, and justice. They help us live a life filled with inner peace and tranquility. Virtues hold a holy place in the intricate web of Stoic philosophy. We should follow these moral stars and be able to handle life's storms with grace and wisdom. Stoic philosophy about living in harmony with the natural order of the world is based on these virtues, which are not just vague ideas. Being wise is the first virtue on this list. It shines like a light, showing the way to reason and wisdom. It tells us to learn a lot about the world and how we fit into it. Wisdom is the bedrock upon which all other virtues are built, according to Stoic philosophers like Epicurus. With wisdom as our compass, we can see the world as it really is and tell the difference between things that will pass away and things that will last forever. The second virtue is courage, which protects the moral soul's accomplishments. This message tells us to be strong and determined when life gets hard. Resolve, according to the Stoic definition, is not the lack of fear, but the victory over it. To face problems with inner strength is to be determined to do so. Through his speeches, Seneca extols the value of courage in developing a character characterized by resilience and unshakable resolve. If you follow the Stoic road, justice, the third virtue, will cover you in fairness. It tells us to follow the rules of being fair and doing the right thing. Stoic philosophers get their ideas from sources of justice, which help us make choices that are fair and right. Ensures that our actions are in line with the moral order of the world in the search of justice, fostering inner tranquility and peace. The final virtue, temperance, is a watchdog of balance and personal control. This poem tells us to control our wants, because moderation is the key to finding true peace. In his psychological writings, Seneca stresses how important it is to keep our wants simple and only seek what is necessary for a good life. In the control of desire, we find the source of inner peace, no matter what is going on around us. Several Stoic philosophers have praised these virtues. Together, they make up a life that lives up to Stoic ideals. They show us the way and help us get through life's storms with grace, wisdom, and lasting peace. We stay calm and peaceful by following these virtues and letting them affect our thoughts and actions. This shows that we are Stoic in our commitment to inner harmony and moral living. These virtues are the bright colors in the patchwork of Stoicism that show a life lived in harmony with the eternal truth of the world. Choose your response in lesson number 6. Many people still respect Epicurus for his timeless wisdom, and he taught us a very important lesson. We have the power to choose how we respond. This lesson is a rock that won't move, a lantern that shows us the way through life's rough waters, according to Stoic philosophy. Epictetus said exactly what he meant when he said that we have complete control over our responses, even if we can't change what happens in the outside world. He said this was what Stoic wisdom was all about. Clarity within Stoic philosophy, based in our mastery over life's various challenges, can be found in the refuge of tranquility and serenity, which serve as the focus points of control. In this holy place, Stoic virtues like wisdom, courage, fairness, and moderation shine like bright stars, showing the way to inner peace. The advice of Epictetus encourages us to think about the nature of our decisions and actions, especially when things are tough. The ability to consciously shape our responses to the various external events in life is a precious gift that is revealed to us through this self-examination. The Stoic way of dealing with life's ups and downs is like painting the picture of existence perfectly. To face life's difficulties with the wisdom of philosophers, the courage of heroes, the justice of good hearts, and the calmness of those who walk the path of self-mastery is the choice to follow Stoic virtues. Imagine that you are having a bad time communicating with other people. They say bad things about you, which makes you mad. Instead of getting back at someone, learn how to control your response. Understand the good things about them and stay cool. Making interactions more upbeat will help you stay calm and build better relationships with others. Because they are filled with Epictetus's wisdom, Stoics are strongholds of inner peace that can't be broken by even the strongest storms. We build a wall around ourselves with Stoic virtues when we choose to, which keeps our inner peace even when bad things happen. Because we find the lasting fire of inner peace in the crucible of conscious choice, it is the clear call of the Stoic to manage the rough roads of life with grace and resilience. Practice mindfulness, the seventh lesson. For those seeking tranquility and self-mastery amidst the upheavals of life, Seneca, the ancient Stoic philosopher whose wisdom has stood the test of time, revealed an important lesson: the practice of awareness. Mindfulness, according to Stoic philosophy, is like a guide that points us to the present moment and protects us from the never-ending waves of sorrow about the past and fear about the future. Most of all, mindfulness is the practice of living in the present, fully aware of what is happening right now. It helps people who are suffering from fixation, which is when their minds keep going over past hurts and worries about the future. In the Stoic school, Seneca taught that we should value the current moment for its beauty and meaning, because it is the only time that really exists. In the way Seneca explained it, awareness is not just something you do in special times. It's also something you do in everyday life. It tells us to look at the fabric of life with a critical eye, noticing both the amazing and the seemingly unimportant things. We free ourselves from the crushing grip of regret and worry when we do this. Stoic awareness is a valuable way to keep your mind clear and calm. It connects us to the present moment and the deep simplicity of it all. It's an art form that helps us fully experience the present moment, enjoying every breath and the beauty that emerges in every beating. In the practice of mindfulness, we find an endless refuge where the soul finds peace, inner tranquility is nurtured, and self-mastery is honed amidst life's swirling currents. The importance of gratitude, lesson number 8. The worth of thankfulness is like a precious gem in the rich fabric of Stoic philosophy, which is made up of threads of wisdom and long-lasting patience. Seneca, a famous Stoic philosopher, promoted this lesson as a way to find inner tranquility and happiness in spite of life's difficulties. There are good things and bad things in life, and Seneca tells us to value both. We can find contentment even in the face of hardship when we look at things through the lens of thanks. Seneca lauds the virtues of thanks in writings that are entirely devoted to the idea. He tells us to stop thinking about what we don't have and start focusing on what we do have. He tells us to find comfort in the present and appreciate the little things that we often forget about. We learn a strong way to keep deep inner peace through this Stoic practice. Seneca's lessons on thankfulness are mostly a gentle warning that being grateful doesn't depend on how many things we have, but on how well we can see the blessings in our lives in all their different forms. So, being thankful isn't just a reaction to the good times in life, it's a deep recognition that there is a place of safety and peace even when things are bad. By practicing gratitude, we change the way we see life and learn to find the extraordinary in the everyday, the lessons in the difficulties, and the value in every moment that passes. Seneca tells us to enjoy the present moment and understand that the best things in life are not things to gather, but events to remember. Seneca showed that being thankful is a good way to keep your peace of mind. It teaches us to keep thinking about the good things that have happened along the way. We learn from this that being thankful is like an alchemy potion that turns the basic ingredients of sadness and hunger into the gold of contentment and peace. A heart full of thanks doesn't give up when things get hard. It finds strength even in trouble because it knows that life's problems are also its masters. Seneca tells us that a Stoic spirit doesn't break when things get hard. Instead, it grows, taking strength from the deep well of thanks. The Stoic tradition holds that being grateful is a constant friend that helps us find deep inner peace and rise above the rough waves of life. It also reveals the tranquility that can be found in accepting blessings, no matter how small or unimportant they may seem. With Seneca's wisdom, we understand that being grateful is a strong embrace of beauty in the hardest times of life, not just a response to the good things in life. Every time we breathe, every time our hearts beat, and every moment that passes, we have the chance to become more grateful. Because they help us see how beautiful life is, Seneca's Stoic heritage encourages us to enjoy the here and now, not because of the problems we face. In the middle of life's chaos, this beautiful practice helps us find a deep and peaceful soul. Lesson 9. Build up your resilience. Stoic philosophy, known for its unwavering resilience and deep wisdom, has a timeless lesson to teach us about how to build resilience. Resilience is a guiding star that guides us through life's rough waters with unwavering strength and courage, and it is a central virtue in the vast weave of Stoic thinking. Epictetus, a great Stoic philosopher, praised resilience and urged us to face life's difficulties with courage and drive. He said that resilience was like a strong oak tree, whose roots go deep and whose branches stand tall even when it rains very hard. Understanding that hardship is not something to be afraid of, but something to welcome, is at the heart of Epictetus's lessons on resilience. Life's problems and difficulties teach us how strong and brave we really are. In the Stoic refuge, resilience isn't just a way of dealing with problems, it's a way of life, a firm determination to handle problems with grace and honor. Through his advice, Epictetus encourages us to develop resilience in our daily lives and to face every challenge with a determined heart and unyielding spirit. The Stoic practice of resilience is a sign of how strong the human spirit is, giving people hope even on the darkest nights. This is a warning that we have the power to rise above our problems, to go beyond them, and to come out better and smarter than we were before. Imagine that something goes wrong in your work life. You choose to build resilience instead of giving up and giving in to depression. You face the task head-on, taking power from within, and you come out on top, stronger than ever. This stoic attitude to resilience isn't just a short-term response to life's problems. It's a way of life, a firm resolve to face problems with courage and drive. Resilience is a virtue that can be developed through practice and perseverance, according to Stoic philosophy. It's a lesson that we have the strength to get through even the hardest things in life, and a testament to the human spirit's resilience. With Epictetus as our guide, we can handle the rough seas of life with unwavering strength and courage, coming out on top in the end. Stoic resilience isn't just a way of dealing with problems. It's a way of life, a firm resolve to face problems with bravery and drive. We get stronger and more tough with each trial we face. The fires of hardship shape our hearts. Resilience is a bright example of how strong and brave people can be, and it is a sign of the unbreakable spirit that lives inside each of us, according to Stoic philosophy. With Epictetus as our guide, we face the problems of life with courage and determination, and we come out on top. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity, said the ancient Chinese tactician Sun Tzu. This quote has a lot to do with the Stoic philosophy we're going to talk about today. Imagine standing still while the world spins around you and finding your calm center, your core that can't be shaken. That's the strength of Stoicism, and that's the path we're taking today. We look into the art of silence, which is something that people often forget, but is really strong. In addition to not being able to hear anything, there must be a deep peace inside, a power that says reams without speaking a word. Being good at this art can help you the most in our noisy, constant world, turning chaos into clarity and noise into meaning. We will learn how the Stoics used silence as a strategy tool, a way to wisdom and resilience. You've come to the right place if you're feeling swamped by the noise of everyday life, looking for a place of tranquility, or just interested in how less can really be more. Silence has a special power that can really make people nervous, especially if they're trying to figure out what you're going to do next. Picture yourself in a tense scenario, like an argument or a settlement, and you choose silence instead of speaking out quickly or aggressively. This isn't about being inactive. It's a choice based on the Stoic philosophy of life. Still, the Stoics were very good at controlling both what they did and how they felt about it. Now think about this. When you don't say anything, the other person is free to guess, question, and wonder. There's no way for them to know what you're thinking or planning, which throws them off balance. That lack of information is a strong tool you have. Even when no one speaks, silence can be stronger and more powerful than words. But here's the best part. While they're lost in this sea of confusion, you're not just sitting there. You're mindfully watching, analyzing, and thinking about your next move. You have control. This planned silence gives you time to think, breathe, and approach the problem with a peace and clarity that can only come from inside. This strategy aims to demonstrate the Stoic virtues of wisdom and temperance, in addition to getting the upper hand. When you don't say anything, sometimes that's the most powerful reaction. In that silence, you're not only confusing your opponent, but you can also really listen to what's being said, and maybe even more importantly, what's not being said. If you ever find yourself in a tough spot, know how powerful silence can be. Take it in and use it as your shield and plan. Let it show that you are a Stoic person on the inside who doesn't care about outside pressures and instead focuses on their own strength. Remember that Stoicism isn't just about what we say or do, it's also about how we respond, how we change, and how we keep our cool, our honor, and our resolve. In a world where we are always linked and online, distractions are more than just a bother. They get in the way of our inner peace and focus. They break up our attention and make it hard to concentrate. Quite simply, They keep us from really experiencing the deep wisdom that Stoicism has to give. I think this is the most beautiful part of Stoic philosophy. It teaches us not only how to deal with problems, but also how to change our surroundings on purpose. Get rid of distractions. First, let's look at our minds. What are we left with when we get rid of the clutter, the constant pings, and the never-ending streams of notifications? The lessons of great Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, who understood the importance of silence and reflection, are left open to us. The next question you might have is, how do we begin getting rid of distractions? It all starts with purpose. We have to choose to focus on the things that really need our attention. This could mean setting specific times to check your email or social media, making your office calm, or just enjoying quiet times during the day. To avoid the modern world is not the point. The point is to move through it with purpose and wisdom, like a Stoic would. But getting rid of distractions isn't just about blocking out outside noise. It's also about blocking out the inner talk, the fears, the doubts, and the never-ending what-ifs that keep us from making good decisions and finding peace. Even in this case, Stoicism can help us focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. True wisdom grows in this state of inner tranquility, free of stress. And don't forget that reducing distractions helps more than just us. It also helps our relationships, our work, and our imagination. We pay more attention to and become more involved with the world around us. Being here and now, giving ourselves over to the moment, is a gift that makes our lives better and more important. That's why I think you should adopt this Stoic habit. Start small. Maybe set aside some time each day to be alone with your thoughts and silence, away from the digital world. Enjoy the difference it makes in how you act, what you think, and what you choose. This is how to live a more focused, calm, and Stoic life. Have you ever noticed that when you stop, everyone pays more attention? It's like the space between notes in a symphony. It makes the music sound fuller, because it represents the virtue of control and conscious action, or in this case, conscious stillness. Silence is an idea that Stoicism holds in high regard. We make an interesting and powerful presence when we choose silence, especially when people are expecting a lot of words. Think about a heated argument or a meeting room that is full of people. When someone doesn't say anything but listens carefully, their silence says a lot. It has a powerful effect that makes people interested in it. Why do they do that? What's the point of not talking? This mystery can give you a sneaky way to control and sway anyone you talk to. But let's look more closely at what this idea means in a Stoic way. Stoicism teaches us to value quality over number and depth over surface level. By relating this to how we talk to each other, we understand that our words should have meaning and be carefully chosen, not just thrown around without any thought. When we do speak, our words have more power because they come from careful thought rather than a hasty response. Also, people tend to put their thoughts and feelings onto silence, which can help people understand and empathize with each other better. In silence, we give others a chance to say what they want, and by doing so, we learn more about their thoughts and feelings. For example, this can be very strong in personal connections, at work, or even when we're talking to ourselves. Now, choosing silence doesn't mean we sit back and watch our lives happen. It's a choice we make on purpose. Knowing when to speak and when to let silence speak for itself is important. This ability to tell the difference between right and wrong is a core Stoic virtue that shows a deep knowledge of how people interact with each other and the value of every word we say or don't say. Practically speaking, learning how to use silence can make our lives better in many ways. It can calm down arguments, help people connect more deeply, and even improve our mental health by giving us much-needed breaks. It's a tool, a skill that we can hone over time while being led by Stoic ideals that support a calm, careful approach to life. It may seem strange to embrace silence in a world where noise and activity are often seen as signs of strength and productivity. Still, the Stoic philosophy says that we find our true power in the quiet times. The virtues of reflection and inner calm are emphasized in Stoicism, and they grow best in silence. When we take a break from the noise of the outside world, we can hear our own ideas more clearly, understand our feelings better, and figure out what we want to do. Silence is a safe place for our thoughts to rest and get stronger, without being interrupted or weakened by constant noise. Consider silence as a way to train your mind. A Stoic uses silence to make their mind stronger, just like a bodybuilder works weights to make their muscles stronger. We practice resilience in this quiet space by learning to be with ourselves, face our inner chaos without running away, and come out of it more focused and grounded. We build up the mental strength to handle whatever life throws at us during these times of silence. Besides that, silence makes things clearer. It helps us sort through our goals and figure out what's important and what's just noise. This focus gives us power by letting us know not to act without thinking, but with purpose and meaning. Our choices are more well thought out, our deeds have more meaning, and our lives are more in line with our core ideals. But let's look into it more. To be silent isn't just to be alone or do nothing. It's to connect with our inner selves. It means paying attention to our feelings, thoughts, and gut feelings. We learn facts about ourselves in these quiet conversations. We find out what really means to us, what drives us, and where our beliefs come from. Knowing ourselves well is a strong form of strength that gives us the courage to make the right decisions for ourselves, no matter what other people think or expect of us. And here's something interesting. The strength we gain in silence doesn't just help us. It affects the people we talk to and interact with. When we are clear and centered, we show others that we are calm and sure of ourselves. When we say things after giving them a lot of thought, they have more weight. The tranquility and focus that Stoicism promotes make our presence more powerful. We try to understand that no matter what we've done or how important we are, we're all linked and depending on each other in the grand scheme of things when we practice Stoicism. Realizing this is freeing. It sets us free from the chains of ego, letting us live life more fully and connect with others more honestly. What does it mean to not be proud or cocky, though? It doesn't mean putting ourselves down or not believing in our own worth. It means being aware of both our skills and weaknesses with equal clarity and calm. In other words, it means realizing that our successes and mistakes don't make us better or worse than other people. This Stoic principle tells us to be calm and balanced in life, to take both wins and failures without getting upset. It tells us not to brag about what we've done, but to let our deeds speak for themselves. When we do this, our self-worth is no longer tied to approval or comparison from other people, and we feel at peace with ourselves. In addition, being humble makes us more open to learning and growing. We become better listeners, friends, and members of the community who care more about others. We understand that everyone can teach us something, and we are ready to learn from every contact. In real life, getting rid of pride or vanity requires regular self-reflection, which is an important part of Stoicism. We look at what drives us, question what we think we know, and try to make sure that our behaviors are in line with our inner values. We remind ourselves of how human we all are, and that, like everyone else, we have flaws and can make mistakes. Having this Stoic virtue also makes our relationships better. When we let go of the need to be right or look better all the time, we make room for deeper relationships. We pay more attention, react with more thought, and interact in a deeper way. People find it easier to talk to us, relate to us, and often respect us more. The words we use are very important in negotiations, but the times we choose to be quiet are just as important. This smart use of silence can give off an air of control and cool, which often makes the other person say more than they meant to. There's a moment when everyone involved in the discussion, including us, can think deeply about what they are doing and how they can improve it. Now, from a Stoic viewpoint, silence in talks isn't about trickery or gamesmanship. It's about bringing our inner tranquility and giving ourselves time to react with wisdom rather than responding hastily. When we stop, we're not just buying time. We're asserting our control over the situation, focusing on the moment, and giving our next move careful consideration. However, there is more to it than just a matter of strategy. Silence shows respect for the words that are yet to be spoken and an awareness of their possible effect. People will respect and pay attention to us in any situation if we show that we are thoughtful and careful by stopping. Also, this practice of deliberate silence fits perfectly with the Stoic focus on listening, which is a skill that is just as important in talks as being able to speak well or persuade others. When we really listen, we learn about what the other person wants, fears, and needs. This knowledge can help us find answers that are good for everyone, results that benefit everyone. But how can we use silence as a strong tool? Self-awareness is the first step. This is another important part of Stoicism. We can better control our urges to talk if we know what sets us off and how we normally behave. It's also important to have faith in our own point of view and the courage to let it stand without adding extra words. During real life, silence can look like many things. In talks, it can be a pause after a big speech that lets the meaning of it sink in. When things get hot or complicated, it can be helpful to take a moment to calm down. It can also be a place we make for others to fill, giving them a chance to talk, think, or agree. The Stoics thought that all people are linked to each other and that we are all part of the same human society. When we show kindness and care, we're not just being good, we're also realizing and honoring this deep link. In the Stoic sense, being kind isn't about making big moves or wanting to be noticed. It's about the little things we do every day to show kindness, like choosing patience over anger or understanding over judging. It means thinking about how our words and actions affect other people and deciding to help them instead of criticizing them. Thought, on the other hand, goes even further. When we deal with other people, we should actively put ourselves in their shoes and try to understand their points of view, problems, and goals. We make room for real relationships by showing true care, which builds trust and respect between people. Why is this really important? Well, being kind and thoughtful not only makes other people's lives better, but it also makes our own lives more peaceful and satisfying. Stoicism teaches us that how we treat other people and how we treat ourselves are directly connected to each other. We match ourselves with Stoic beliefs when we choose kindness, which promotes harmony within us and around us. Also, being kind and thoughtful can have a domino effect, encouraging others to do the same and making the community more caring and understanding. Think about what would happen if we all decided to be a little more kind and thoughtful. The result could be transformational. How then can we live by these values every day? It starts with being mindful or aware of the people we meet and the chances we have to be kind and thoughtful. Choosing responses that demonstrate the Stoic virtues of wisdom, justice, courage, and balance requires stopping before responding. In our busy lives, full of distractions and people always wanting to say what they have to say, it's hard to really listen deeply and with empathy. The Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes understanding, kindness, and the quest of wisdom, is beautifully aligned with this skill. Deep attention is more than just hearing what someone says. It means getting into the heart of what they're saying and understanding the feelings and goals behind what they say. You're not just listening to answer, you're listening to understand. The Stoic ideals of kindness and reason are profoundly related to this knowledge. When we really listen, we show others the respect and care they deserve because we know how valuable they are as people. This is a Stoic kindness practice that recognizes that, like us, other people have their own problems, points of view, and stories that are important to understand. But careful hearing has many more benefits than just making people more empathetic and respectful. When we really listen, we let new ideas and thoughts come to us. We learn more, fix problems better, and become better friends and co-workers. More information can be taken in and processed, which can then shape our choices and actions and bring them more in line with the Stoic virtues of moderation and wisdom. So how do we get better at this deep listening thing? Before anything else, you should go into every exchange with the attitude that you can learn something. Instead of focusing on how much you want to talk, you should be interested in what the other person has to say. Next, work on being present. Nowadays, when you get messages all the time and have to do many things at once, giving someone your full attention is a very special treat. To fully engage with the person in front of you, you have to put down your phone and turn off any other noises. When you listen, you use more than just your ears. You use your eyes, your body, and your mind. It means showing with all of your being that you care and are there for them. In addition, Stoic virtues like patience and self-control help us avoid the urge to talk over the other person, judge them, or plan our responses while they are still talking. It means giving them room to say what they want and waiting for them to finish before responding. In the end, it's about thinking about things. After hearing, stop and think about what you heard. Think about the message, the feelings, and the deeper meaning. This thinking not only helps you understand more, but it also lets you react with care and thought, which is what the Stoic ideal of controlled, thoughtful action looks like. This idea isn't just about learning things or having quick answers. It's about getting to know our experiences, our ideals, and the world around us in a deep, thoughtful way. Stoicism is based on reflective wisdom, which helps us live with purpose, make wise decisions, and become more like our ideal selves every day. Introspection is the first step toward reflective wisdom. It requires us to stop, look inside ourselves, and think about our actions, responses, and thoughts. Being honest, open, and ready to face hard facts are some of the things that make this more difficult. But this process is very important because it helps us figure out what drives us, what our biases are, and what our ideals are. In the end, it helps us learn more about ourselves. But the path to reflective wisdom isn't a one-person show. Stoicism tells us that our lives are linked to those of others and to the world as a whole. Because of this, when we think about ourselves, we need to think about our connections, our place in society, and how we affect the world. How do the things we do fit in with the bigger picture? Do we add to the harmony or the discord? We can be sure that our wisdom isn't just for ourselves when we look at things from a bigger picture. Let's discuss how to use this wisdom now. Reflective wisdom isn't just a nice idea. It's also very useful in real life. It shapes the things we do, the decisions we make, and the way we talk to each other. We make better decisions, act more deliberately, and speak more carefully when we act from a place of reflective wisdom. We get stronger when things go wrong, more calm when things get tough, and better able to adjust to new situations. These traits show that someone is stoic. They handle life's ups and downs with calm and grace. But how can we grow this kind of thoughtful wisdom? The first step is to make time and place for regular thought. This could mean writing in a notebook, thinking deeply about your actions and choices every day, or having a daily review. It means being willing to ask tough questions and follow the answers wherever they lead. There are lessons to be learned from the past, the present moment, and the future to think about. Having a learner's mindset is another important thing to do. We can learn something from everything we do in life, whether it's happy, sad, or just plain old everyday things. To gain more learning and wisdom, we can learn from everything in our lives if we are open and curious. Being resilient doesn't mean escaping pain or denying our problems. Instead, it means facing problems head-on, learning from them, and coming out on the other side stronger and smarter. Though Stoicism doesn't tell us we can control everything that happens to us, it does teach us that we can choose how to react. True resilience comes from this reaction, which is based on understanding, reason, and virtue. How do we build up this resilience, though? The first step is to accept it. Stoicism tells us to accept things as they are, not how we want them to be. This means being honest about our problems without judging them or feeling sorry for ourselves. There is a lot of energy that can be used for reaction and growth when we face our problems with understanding. Next, we use the power of what we see. The Stoics think that how we think about things makes us more upset than the things themselves. Taking a bigger picture view can help us see our problems as parts of a bigger story that includes learning, growth, and the chance to change. This viewpoint puts our pain in a framework that encourages resilience rather than minimizing it. The importance of community in fostering resilience will now be discussed. Even though Stoicism stresses personal virtue and inner power, it also sees how we are all connected. We learn and get through difficult times with the help of others, who share our problems, provide support, and impart wisdom. These links strengthen our resilience and tell us that we are not going through this trip alone. Practice also helps to build resilience. Just like a muscle gets stronger when it's used, our resilience grows as we face and get through tough situations. Then, every problem we face is a chance to practice our Stoic principles, to be brave, to stay calm, and to choose a reaction that is in line with our ideals. Finding our inner power and using it to deal with the problems that come up in life is what it means to be resilient. It's about using hardship as a springboard for development, change, and a more in-depth understanding of our virtues and values. And most importantly, it's about going forward with the strength and wisdom we've learned from our past. There is a way to find peace in the midst of chaos, strength in the face of hardship, and clarity in the midst of confusion in a world that often feels too much to handle. Stoic philosophy has always been a good way to find wisdom, and this path is filled with it. It is a guide that makes both the mind and the soul better. We learn how to deal with life's problems with resilience, how to keep our balance in the middle of chaos, and how to be thankful for every moment as we study the old Stoic lessons. Come along with me as we look at how these deep ideas can change our lives and be a light in the darkest times. Let's go on this trip of finding together, learning from the lessons that have given people power for hundreds of years. The wrong idea about Stoics and feelings. Imagine that you are a Stoic in charge of a ship that is going through a sea of feelings. Stoics don't want a sea without waves, despite what the story says. They want to know everything that's going on in their feelings, not to hide them, but so they can live them with balance and wisdom. A lot of people think that Stoics are emotionless and almost robotic. In reality, though, they learn to accept their feelings and not let them control them. They want to understand deeply, not have any feelings at all. You might wonder how they get so good at what they do. Practicing thanks, which is easy, but can change your life, is the key. Stoics use gratitude as a tool to get through tough times. It helps them see the good in things and enjoy every moment and little joy. Stoics are not emotionally removed at all. Instead, they are experienced pilots who choose which waves to ride. This Stoic way of thinking, which is based on balance and thanks, gives us a new way to deal with our own mental storms. Instead of wanting the sea to always be quiet, we can learn to enjoy the beauty of feelings by following the light of thanks. It's a myth that repressing your feelings will make you smarter. Stoics show that real emotional wisdom comes from a healthy and full life of emotions, with thanks leading to happiness. Think like a Stoic when you're going through tough times. How can I navigate these waters with gratitude and balance? Stoic ways to deal with emotional problems. Stoic wisdom gives us guiding lights when we're going through rough waves of loneliness, sadness, and anger. This old philosophy not only says that these mental problems are normal, but it also gives us strong ways to deal with them. To help, one important thing to do is to be kind to yourself. Stoics tell us to be kind and understanding to ourselves when things are hard, just like we would be kind and understanding to a friend who is hurting. This practice eases pain and helps people heal emotionally in a healthy way. Also, in Stoic philosophy, deep reflection is very important. We are told to look inside our own thoughts, question what we think we know, and try to figure out where our difficult feelings come from. We're not thinking about ourselves to feel sorry for ourselves. We're doing it to find answers and learn from our mistakes. By following these Stoic ideas, we don't try to avoid our feelings. Instead, we learn to understand and accept them, which turns problems into chances to grow. Loneliness, sadness, and anger become teachers that show us our power and resilience rather than enemies to be defeated. So, the Stoic philosophy helps us understand and face life with more courage. When we face mental problems, we use self-compassion and thought to help us not only get through them, but also become better, smarter, and more caring people. Remember that the Stoic ways to deal with problems are to be kind to yourself, think deeply, and know that there is always a bright road ahead. Why walking and thinking are important. Imagine going for a walk with us. Not a fast walk, but a slow walk, where each step is a chance to learn more about yourself. This simple act goes beyond being physical and turns into a mental journey and a moment to be present. Walking turns out to be a healing and calming activity. We're not only moving our bodies when we take these steps, we're also taking care of our minds by focusing and relaxing. Stoic philosophy, which stresses balance and mental clarity, fits well with this link to walks. The Stoics, who were very good at controlling their feelings and thinking, saw virtue in reflection. Then, walking is a great background for this practice because it gives us a chance to notice our thoughts, let go of our problems, and focus on the present moment. You won't be traveling alone. This is a trip that brings people together and makes their journey better. We learn that walking slows the mind and makes the solutions we're looking for clear. So, we want you to think of walking not only as a way to get exercise, but also as a way to find inner tranquility. Being alone and being hard on yourself. Self-criticism and loneliness often go hand in hand, making a loop that is hard to break. When we are lonely, we feel alone, and when we criticize ourselves, we feel even more alone and think we are less deserving of love and connection. One strong idea, though, the best way to break this loop is not to try to be perfect or to spend more time alone, but to be kind to ourselves. First thing that needs to be done to break this loop is to be kind to oneself. Being self-compassionate helps us get out of this downward slide, while judging ourselves only makes things worse. This doesn't mean we should ignore our flaws. It means we should treat them with the same kindness we would show a friend. Also, when we practice being kind to ourselves, we automatically start to let more people in because we know that we deserve love and connection, flaws and all. This openness makes it possible for other people to come into our lives and make real human bonds, which can help us feel less lonely. Self-compassion lets us be human, which means we make mistakes, but we are still very important. This makes us want to get back in touch with ourselves and the people around us, which changes both our inner and outer worlds. So, remember that the way to get over being alone and being hard on ourselves is to accept our humanity with love, patience, and kindness. Not only does this stop the loop, but it also opens the door to a more linked and important life. A different view on happiness and success. We often have a lot of ideas about what happiness and satisfaction look like as we work to achieve our goals. Many times we are told to set big goals because we think that will make us happy in the end. What if I told you, though, that success as we usually think of it isn't always the same thing as happiness? There is a truth to this that seems contradictory. We often don't feel fulfilled when we hit the top of our goals because we keep trying to be successful. Instead, we often feel empty and wonder, what now? Being aware of this can be unsettling. In our rush to be successful, it's easy to lose sight of what really matters, the relationships, moments, and events that make life interesting. So, the key is to change how we think about happiness and success. Finding contentment in the paths we choose, the minor wins, and the lessons we learn along the way is more important than giving up on our hopes and dreams. It's about appreciating the present and being present in every moment, even as we work toward our goals. When we learn to appreciate the trip just as much as, or even more than the goal, true contentment results. That doesn't mean that success doesn't matter. It just means that you should balance it with being thankful for the present moment. We don't have to put all of our happiness in goals we want to reach in the future. Instead, we can find happiness in the things we do now, the people we meet, and the ways we grow as people every day. So, how can we make this happiness last? Being aware, being present, noticing the little joys, and enjoying the small wins along the way are the first steps. It's also about realizing that happiness is not a place you have to get to, but a path you can take. We can open our hearts and minds to a better, more rewarding way of life if we change our ideas about what success really means. In this way, beauty and contentment are found not at the end, but at every step along the way. Perspective and being humble. Stoic philosophy encourages us to look at life with a bigger picture in mind. This helps us become more humble and thankful. Realizing how small we are in the grand scheme of things makes our problems seem smaller, which makes our battles seem less important and supports inner peace. By telling us of how small we are in comparison to everything else, this view of the universe makes us very humble and frees us from the stiffness with which we hold on to hopes and problems. Being humble isn't a sign of weakness. It's a power that sets us free and makes us grateful for what we have. This shift in viewpoint changes the way we live, making us more grateful for the little things that happen every day. Because of this, we learn to accept the ups and downs of life with balance, knowing that we can't control everything but how we react to problems. Adopting this stoic view helps us find peace in chaos, be calm when things we can't control happen, and live with awe and thanks that makes our lives so much better. It's a strong message that by broadening our view, we can change how we see the world and go through life with the wisdom and peace that come from being deeply humble and thankful. Strengths and weaknesses. Being honest about how much we need help and how vulnerable we are is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of great power. We are often told to be independent and handle our issues on our own in today's world. But the truth is that we will all face problems that are too much for us to handle on our own at some point in our lives. And this is where therapy and mental support come in handy, not as a last option, but as a powerful way to learn about yourself and grow. When we get professional help, like therapy, we can talk about our feelings and thoughts in a safe and accepting space. You can take a look at yourself and learn more about your feelings, actions, and thought processes. Therapy is like a mirror that shows us not only our flaws and fears, but also our strengths, opportunities, and ability to change. Also, getting mental support from family, friends, or support groups goes along with therapy and makes us feel like we belong and are part of a community. Sharing our problems and successes with people who understand or have been through the same things as us gives us a mental safety net that keeps us going even when things get tough. Being brave and self-aware means admitting your weaknesses and asking for help. This step toward being vulnerable not only brings us closer to others, making relationships that are more real and important, but it also makes us stronger on the inside. It shows us that the best way to be strong is to face our troubles head-on with courage, understanding, and the help of others. If you feel like you can't handle everything, remember that asking for help is a brave thing to do and the first step to healing and being healthy. We can not only get through our problems, but also grow and change if we accept our weaknesses and ask for help when we need it. Pay attention to and stick to the chosen path. Keeping our attention and discipline on our own goals is a path that tests our drive and grit all the time. With all the things that can distract us and all the similarities on social media, it's easy to stray from the road we've set for ourselves. But sticking to our path and beliefs is the key to a truly happy and fulfilling life, not trying to fit in or be successful by other people's standards. Being disciplined is what helps you reach your goals. It guides us through the daily challenges that want to take our attention away from our goals. Focusing, on the other hand, means putting our attention and energy on what's really important, which helps us stay true to our ideals and goals. Concentration and self-control work together to help us reach our goals and be happy. On this trip, it's important to stay away from similarities. Every person has a unique road that is full of difficulties and chances. When we compare ourselves to others, we might not give ourselves credit for what we've done or what they can do. Don't forget that success is different for everyone. What someone thinks is a big deal might not be huge deals to someone else. Sticking to your own beliefs and path also gives you a feeling of purpose and authenticity. You can't find true happiness by following someone else's dreams and goals. Instead, you should live your life according to what's important to you. You build a life that is truly yours, full of contentment and personal accomplishment, by adhering to your ideals and going your own route. How fame and success change over time. For many of us, the quest for success and fame is driven by the hope that they will bring us happiness and satisfaction. The transient nature of success, however, is a profound and often missed fact. Fame and accomplishments don't last, and they can't bring long happiness. A Stoic philosophy that tells us to focus less on what other people think of us and more on our own virtues and how we can help others values this point of view. The Stoics tell us that success in the form of praise and admiration from others is outside of our control, so it shouldn't be the main goal of our lives. Instead, they stress how important it is to develop traits like wisdom, bravery, fairness, and balance. These are the real sources of value and meaning, and they can give us a greater and longer-lasting sense of happiness. The Stoics also say that we shouldn't try to become famous, but instead should think about how we can help other people. They say that you can be truly great by making a change in other people's lives and working for the greater good in any size or shape. Focusing on others instead of always wanting to be noticed makes our actions more in line with beliefs that last. From a Stoic point of view, this doesn't mean we should give up on our goals or hopes for success. Instead, it asks us to rethink what we mean by success and points us toward goals that give us a feeling of meaning and satisfaction without needing support or recognition from other people. This frees us from the chains of always wanting to be noticed and lets us live a more real and satisfying life. The value of trouble. Problems and difficulties we face in life are often seen as unwanted hindrances and times of discomfort we'd rather stay away from. But if we look at things from a Stoic point of view, we start to see these problems differently. We start to see them as important chances to grow as people and to practice Stoic virtues. Stoic philosophy tells us that we have no control over the things that happen to us, but we can control our reactions to them. We have the opportunity to develop a character, strength and wisdom that might not have grown otherwise by meeting difficulties with resilience and courage. You can train your mind through hardships by practicing patience, persistence, and moderation. It follows that every problem turns into a lesson, a way to test and improve our virtues. When we get through hard times, we build resilience, which helps us face future problems with more balance and confidence. This way of thinking doesn't downplay the pain or discomfort that these times can cause. Instead, it gives us a way to find meaning and purpose even when things are hard. Stoic practice in times of trouble also teaches us that outside circumstances change quickly and that we should value what we can really control: our choices, our responses, and the growth of our inner character. We gain greater resilience as a result, as well as a deep wisdom about the nature of life and happiness. When we see problems as chances to grow, we can enjoy life in all its complexity without worrying about failing or being hurt. With this attitude, every obstacle is an opportunity to grow as people and move forward on our own paths. This builds a strong spirit that stays with us through all of life's experiences. Acceptance and love for fate, also known as amor fati, or love for fate, is a Stoic concept that encourages us to find joy in all parts of our lives, not just in times of success and happiness. People believe that a deep acceptance of life as it is, with all of its flaws and shocks, is the key to happiness and greatness. As Amor Fati says, we shouldn't fight or complain about how things are going. Instead, we should welcome them with open hearts, knowing that every experience, good or bad, has worth and can help us grow. This doesn't mean being passive or giving up. It means actively and passionately accepting life and making a promise to live fully and find meaning in everything. We build resilience that lets us handle life's storms with balance and courage when we practice love for fate. Not everything that happens to us is out of our control, but we can choose how to react to it. When we make this choice with love and awareness, it changes how we see the world, letting us see beauty and joy where other people might only see sadness. Amor Fati asks us to look past what we see and see life as a work of art that is always changing. Each moment, whether it's happy or sad, adds to the rich and complicated fabric of our lives. We can ride out the waves of life with more peace of mind when we accept and love ourselves. This also lets us enjoy the depth and complexity of each experience. And there you have it, a simple guide to finding more joy in your life with the wisdom of Stoicism. Remember, it's not about having everything go your way. It's about finding peace and happiness in how you handle what life throws at you. We've explored how to be grateful for what we have, see the good in challenges, and focus on what we can control. So, what's next? Try putting these ideas into practice. Start small, maybe by taking a moment each day to think about what you're thankful for, or by not getting upset over things you can't change. It's all about taking those steps towards a happier you. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. You've got this, and remember, we're all in this journey together. Here's to living a life full of joy, one day at a time. See you in the next video.